be his last start as the Falcons quarterback. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Woo!
Off and running here after further review on a Thursday, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing Service. Musso in for Moscona. Scone out today, out tomorrow. I'll carry you through the rest of the week. He will be back on Monday. But man, we have no shortage of topics and news to go through today. The dust settling on signing day. Mason Taylor into the NFL draft. Shelton Sampson into the transfer portal. Kylan Jackson into the transfer portal. Aaron Anderson returning. Saints Giants coming up. Mickey Loomis reportedly remaining the Saints GM. There is plenty to do. And then all of a sudden also guest Lee Sterling, Fantasy Blitz. Get your questions in for that now. So much to do. Jacob Beck, Paul O'Neill here along for the ride as well. Let's go ahead and get started as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
All right. Well, with all that going on, there's obviously plenty of places that we can start. But I want to start with signing day, considering that's really where we left off on Wednesday. And then we'll get to everything else with the 2025 roster. And again, as we went through the top, there's plenty. But in looking at signing day, as the dust now settles, right as we were going off the air yesterday, the book closed on the early signing period for LSU. And that was when Derek Meadows flipped his commitment from the Tigers to Alabama, a move that was expected for a very, very long time. But that officially closed the book on the early signing period for LSU. So when you look back now, after the whirlwind that it was, not just Wednesday, but really starting 2 weeks leading up to signing day with the Bryce Underwood decommitment and flip, you had the Devin Harper decommitment and flip, Cade Phillips, Mike Tyler, and then Derek Meadows on signing day, everything that led up to it. Look back at the whole class, and what do you see? Well, Brian Kelly told you what he saw yesterday when he met with the media, and man, according to him, it's his best one yet. It's 28, or I'm sorry, not 28, 36.
I think overall, this is the finest class that I have signed. I think it points to the work that the entire staff has done over the past 18 months in putting together an outstanding class. And regardless of what happened over the last week, all these guys wanted to be here at LSU.
It's a mouthful. Finest class I've ever signed is what Brian Kelly says. And when you take the step back and you look at it from the 4,000, 5,000 foot view, the evidence does certainly support that. It's easy to get caught up in the flips. It's easy to get caught up in all the bad that happens with recruiting. That's why everyone always says there's no melt quite like recruiting melt. And I firmly believe that. And it's also easy in that same vein that when the dust settles and you look at the class, you can really paint with a colorful brush, right? You can pump a little sunshine and, oh, you got the guys who wanted to be here. You know, you don't want the guys who do. You got the guys who want to play for LSU. Those are the two angles you can take at this. But when I think if you really sit back and you look at LSU's 2025 class, you'll find this, that it's definitely the best class Brian Kelly's had in his time at LSU. That's not even debatable. If you go back a little deeper in his time as a head coach, yeah, it would be the best class that he's had. And here's the context kind of behind that. 2 days, literally 2 days before Bryce Underwood flipped to Michigan, I did a whole episode on LSU Daily. Subscribe, by the way, if you haven't already, wherever you get your podcasts, about the class being bigger than one player. It was off of this. What jump started me on that was an article written by John Talty about, is Bryce Underwood the only thing that can save Brian Kelly? It was a foolish take, and, clearly that's played out. But my whole take there was the class is bigger than one. It's not Bryce Underwood that's so important. It's the 2025 class. 2 days before he flipped, that was the take. You go back and find the episode. Now looking at it on the Thursday after the early signing date, I don't think that could be any more true. LSU, what made this class so great is the depth, and not just the depth, the quality of depth that they were able to secure, the needs that they filled, a lot of it on defense. The bulk of the class is on defense. 14 players on the defensive side of the ball. You look at the groups of signees, the position groups, I should say, that are most impactful in this class: linebacker, defensive line, offensive line, and then your secondary. You got better at every single level. Like, you reloaded every single level and kept building depth on the defense, which has been your weakness the last 2 seasons. That's a check mark. And you did it with elite talent like DJ Pickett, like Aiden Anding at cornerback, Jaden Breaker, Charles Ross at linebacker, who Brian Kelly raved about those two. And we're going to come back to linebacker a little bit more. And then look at the litany of guys that Bo Davis brought in on the defensive line. Defensive tackle was looked upon as a weakness. That's turning into one hell of a strength for LSU going forward. So when you look at it from a quality depth standpoint, and I have a little bit more on that, but just the needs you filled, huge. You signed the 2 top 5 interior offensive linemen in the country on Wednesday. And that doesn't even factor in Tyler Miller into that as well. And I think we're all in agreement, you needed offensive linemen, right? I mean, you're replacing most likely 4 out of the 5. Where they were deficient, they filled, and they filled with elite talent. The other thing I will say about the quality of the depth is this. When talking about recruiting, you always hear about the blue chip percentage, the blue chip ratio, right? That's thrown around a lot, and I get it. There are strikes and gutters in recruiting. Even the biggest of 5 stars, they don't always pan out. That's just the nature of it. But that's the grading system that you have. And I think it's easy to look at LSU's class and say, well, they were top 5 the whole cycle, and now they finished the early signing period at 8. What happened? In that same vein, you could look at it and say LSU went into signing day with 2 5-stars. They left with 3. That's pretty good. I would encourage you, if you're looking at the ranking, to not. Because that doesn't illustrate the quality of depth like something like the blue chip percentage. On 3, they assign a percentage of blue chips to everybody's class. LSU's is 83%. They're telling you 83% of LSU's class should be a blue chip caliber athlete, somebody who is near or at the top of their position, respectively, in their sport, seen as, again, I hate using it, but quote unquote can't miss. There is no such thing as a can't miss, but that's what these types of players are seen as. They're telling you LSU's class is 83%. That puts you in the company of the top 5 in the nation. Alabama's, it's in the 80s. Georgia's, it's in the 80s. Now, Oregon's is 90%. Boy, Phil Knight really, he's really handing out those blank checks up there in Eugene, ain't he? But that puts you in that company. Y'all, Texas was the number 1 ranked class. LSU's blue chip percentage is better. Texas is 77%. It's better than Ohio State's, who's in the top 5. So you're in that company, and in some cases, better. The quality and the depth is what made this class so special, not one player. Would you have loved to have Bryce Underwood? Absolutely. The guy could be a generational talent. Could be. Do you want Jakeem Stewart? Sure. In-state guy, number 1 player in the state of Louisiana, you'll always want that guy on your team if you're LSU. Would Cade Phillips have been nice? Absolutely. But instead of signing a top 5 cornerback, you signed the number 1 cornerback, and then the number 1 cornerback in Louisiana. We already went through the offensive line, the linebackers, and all of that. The quality of depth there is fantastic. And Brian Kelly, you can expect a lot of these guys to come in and contribute early. Brian Kelly went through a few of them on Wednesday. He was asked, which of these guys can come play immediately?
Well, I mentioned Karius Kern. I mean, I felt like physically he might be one of the strongest players that I've recruited at the position in a long time. He has that kind of physical characteristics. I would say Zion Williams is big and physical, a guy that you could plug in immediately. Those are big physical guys. Just because of his length, DJ Pickett and his pedigree is a guy that could come in right away. Bordelon is physically as strong as some of the offensive linemen we have. Those are guys physically that can do it. Now, who are the guys that can make the transition that have the physical tools to do it? Now you're talking about Harlan Berry, right? You're talking about Philip Wright. You're talking about skill guys. Can they make that flip and transition? Because they certainly have the skill to do it. But the big physical guys, I would lean on Kern, Bordelon, Zion Williams. Those are guys that physically are ready.
That's a lot of guys that he went through. And at important position. The first name out of his mouth, Karius Kern. It's an interior offensive lineman. Solomon Thomas fits in that too. You're replacing both guards. You have Cohen Eccles, who they're really high on, but don't be surprised if you have a freshman. You could go in the portal, of course. Don't be surprised if you have a freshman starting at one of those guard spots immediately out of this class, making you better. Harlan Berry, what a great change of pace he could be for Caden Durham. And oh, by the way, JT Lindsey's there too, but Harlan Berry, everyone's looked at him and said he can play day one. Same with Pickett. You heard him mention Zion Williams. Again, that's potentially on the interior of your defensive line. Could play that big in spot like Savion Jones did, but I liken him even more to Paris Shand. But that's someone day one, all at positions of need. You're going to see the impact of this class early and often for LSU, and it's building on the class you saw last year, which, by the way, had a blue chip percentage of 66%. And look how many of those guys played this year out of necessity, got valuable reps, and performed well and developed as the season went along. Now you're handing this coaching staff this class. It's easy to look at it and say, okay, it can work. You still have holes to fill in the portal, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. Areas that LSU has to focus on, their top priorities in the transfer portal. That's going to be at the top of the 5 o'clock hour, so we'll be back here for that. But overall, the 10,000-foot view of this class, job well done, mission accomplished. You lost some guys, and that stinks. But you kept the majority of this group together, and they are the next step in building this program back into a national championship contender. All right. We're going to grab a break here, come back on the other side. There's a report from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler dealing with Mickey Loomis and some coaching candidates for the New Orleans Saints. I want to dive into all of that when we come back. It's Monday's AFR. It is Thursday's AFR. We are not trying to go all the way back into the week to Monday. Thursday's AFR, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing Service. Musso in for Moscona. Stay here.
AFR.
If your New Year's resolution as a business owner is going to be to finally become more efficient within your business, to help that bottom line, to help your productivity, let Glow Resources help. Yes, they specialize in skilled blue-collar labor. So if that's what you're looking for, they can help you find the people you need, meeting all the requirements for the specific job that you have. But at Glow Resources, they also have their professional placement division. Y'all, it's so much fun when I go over to Glow Resources. I mean that seriously. Like, one of the things Jareth Knockan has done amazingly well is just building culture. They are fun to work with. When you walk into the office, you'll start just by understanding the design. He had the interior decorator come in and we're like, just go ham. Do what you think would look great. It's pretty amazing. There's a story behind everything in the office. People love to work there, and they love to do business with you. If you need help finding the right people, you need Glow Resources. GLO, glowresources.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. and we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we...
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
AFR is brought to you by First South Farm Credit. You know where to start. Your first call, your first visit, your first option when it comes to buying land in Louisiana is First South Farm Credit. And honestly, it doesn't even have to be land in Louisiana because First South Farm Credit can help you buy land in any of the contiguous 48. And they've got more than 40 branches in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. So if you're right here in the Southeast, there's First South Farm Credit locations all near you. But remember, like, for example, let's say a lot of our audience in New Orleans, of course. You're living in New Orleans, maybe you're starting to build a family, grow a family. You want to move to the North Shore like a lot of people do. You want to buy the 100 acres in Tangipahoa. You can. And First South Farm Credit can help because they have an office in Amite. So you can walk in there. You can do business with someone who talks like you, lives where you live, and help you buy land wherever you want to buy land in the contiguous 48. It's First South Farm Credit. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call, your first option should be First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthLand.com.
All right, right before we went to break, did tease the reports about Mickey Loomis and some coaching candidates for the Saints. We're going to get to that, but, a little after 3 o'clock here on a Thursday means Saints practice is wrapping up. Ross Jackson over at LouisianaSports.net does have a participation report to go to, and there is really good news for the New Orleans Saints. That is that Cesar Ruiz returned to practice. So what you'll remember is heading into the week, all the focus was on Eric McCoy and Lucas Patrick along the offensive line. As they both missed the game, obviously on Sunday against the Rams. They returned Wednesday, but then Cesar Ruiz was not seen. Ruiz back at practice. It's a concussion that has been holding him out, so you still have to go through the protocol, but if he's returning to practice, albeit maybe in a limited capacity or whatnot, we'll wait for the official injury report to come out a little later. That is a major positive if you're looking at the New Orleans Saints. I mean, obviously, you're not seeing no real surprises, no Taysom Hill, no Bub Means, Roderick Teamer, Nick Saldivari. all guys you kind of expected maybe to not see there. But it looks like now, if Ruiz can continue practicing, clear that protocol, you'll have your offensive line intact to go up against the New York Giants. And look, the running game is going to be huge in that matchup, obviously, especially with Dexter Lawrence being out on the other side for the New York Giants. And when the Saints offense has functioned at its best, it's all been off of the running game, play action, the motion, all that stuff. So that is good. Mike Triplett from New Orleans.football, he'll be here in his normal spot at 5:15 a little bit later on. We'll get his take on Ruiz, things that happen at practice, and much bigger picture stuff around the New Orleans Saints as well. But anything else that stood out, I should say, Mike will be here a little bit later on in the show. But there you go. That's kind of your participation report. Good news for the Saints, at least through the open portion that the media was allowed to see. Cesar Ruiz returns, and you have a chance to have your offensive line fully intact when the Saints head up to the Meadowlands to face the Giants. All right, we're going to get to the Mickey Loomis report here momentarily, but first, Matt's going to tell you about South Point Volkswagen.
Brought to you by South Point Volkswagen. SouthPointVW.com. Y'all, it is a great time right now to get on by South Point Volkswagen, especially if you have if you're looking for a new vehicle, want to get the best deal for your trade-in. Right now, the trade-in and trade-up event going on at South Point Volkswagen. They have amazing deals. You can drive away in a Taos right now, the compact SUV, 0% for 60 months right now at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland, southpointvw.com. Also great deals on Atlas and Crossport. They want your certified pre-owned vehicles, so get on by and trade them in at South Point Volkswagen.
All right. We had this on the rundown to talk about yesterday, but just with the whirlwind of everything dealing with signing day, it kind of got bumped. Jeremy Fowler over at ESPN had a report. It was actually a really lengthy piece. It was him and Dan Graziano just going through a lot of things, dealing with the offseason and whatnot, moves for a big, long, extensive piece. And at the bottom, it was just the section of like, what else are you hearing? And it was in that section that Jeremy Fowler went to the Mickey Loomis angle. And obviously, Dennis Allen has been ousted as the Saints head coach. We know that. And everyone's been asking and, in some cases, calling for Mickey Loomis to be next. And that's always been an interesting conversation because of Mickey's so close to that organization, to Gail Benson, the succession, but all of those things that we know we don't need to rehash. And it's always been like, okay, Mickey's untouchable. So when Jeremy Fowler reports that the Saints are unlikely to move on from Mickey Loomis, it shouldn't come as a surprise. And that is the report, that the Saints are unlikely to move on from Mickey Loomis, meaning it's him that will be hiring the next head coach. It's him that will be responsible for the draft and trying to bring this franchise out of the darkness that it is in large part because of moves that he's made. But that's where you are. Now, I am in no way surprised that as we just covered this out, that Mickey Loomis is likely to return. I will also tell you, I don't think that's in the best interest of the franchise. I think it's time to move on from Mickey Loomis. Not because I think Mickey's a bad guy or anything of that nature. I'm just firmly planted in that camp as well, that the New Orleans Saints should distance themselves from just about everything in the previous era and start anew. You see plenty of teams do it. It's cyclical in the NFL. You kind of have to at some point. And I think the Saints are at that point of have to. Is my confidence shaken in Mickey Loomis? Yeah, it is. That too. And I will tell you, that mainly comes from just the stubbornness and defiance and condescension that has been on display in public from Mickey Loomis. In the media. Whether it's him just constantly defending Dennis Allen, even when it was so far past defensible, the chomping of the gum in the press conference, anything that any of the audio that we've played for you from Mickey Loomis really over the last year and some change is enough to shake my confidence in that, because I don't want somebody leading my organization that is publicly displaying stubbornness and defiance and that's not what I want. That doesn't paint a pretty picture. But where you are is Mickey Loomis will be the guy to hire the next coach unless something changes. And again, that shouldn't be a surprise. The Saints are They admire continuity. They admire relationships. They value all of that stuff so much. And that brings us to the second part of the report from Jeremy Fowler. Not only was he talking Loomis, he talked head coaching candidates that you should look out for the Saints. And it's a lot of names that you've heard, with one thrown in that you haven't. And really, when you look at the Saints, this is the first time you've seen reports from a credible NFL, insider like Jeremy Fowler as to names mentioned. The first one is Aaron Glenn. And obviously, that makes a lot of sense. And Aaron Glenn will get a head coaching job in the NFL this year. He's been phenomenal as the defensive coordinator up in Detroit. And yes, the Saints would absolutely figure in heavy to that. Spent time in New Orleans on staff, a long time under Sean Payton. Obviously has a relationship with the organization, all those things that they value. Would be a first-time head coach. Joe Brady was another name. And I know we've all had the Joe Brady conversation around here, but Joe Brady was on staff with the New Orleans Saints. It's been a whirlwind of journey from him, whether it be at LSU to the first as an NFL OC with Carolina, that not working out, taking the quarterback coach job at Buffalo, getting interim OC, and then the permanent OC. And Buffalo's offense has been pretty darn good. Now you have a lot of great players. How would Joe Brady do as a head coach? I'm not sure, but it's the young offensive mind that everyone in the NFL is after, that type of guy. Ben Johnson is going to be the name that everybody mentions the most when talking about that. Is he attainable? I don't know. We've all had that conversation too. But Jeremy Fowler did throw out Joe Brady. Would also be a first-time head coach. The last name he threw out was Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos, who, of course, is from New Orleans, Louisiana. Went to Shaw. Everyone's kind of familiar with that. So there's the tie there. I will tell you, and again, all very early in the process, right? Just reports, just names to watch from an NFL insider. I will tell you on that list that we just ran through, the name that I unequivocally do not want is Vance Joseph. Because how did we start this whole conversation? We started with saying you need to distance yourself from anything in the past of the New Orleans Saints. And while Vance Joseph isn't immediately in the past of the New Orleans Saints, like that isn't exclusively him there, the whole idea of that is literally what you just got away from. Vance Joseph spent 2 years as the head coach in Denver. He went 11-21. A defensive head coach with a well below 500 record as a head coach. That's just what you had in Dennis Allen. You know how tough of a sell that would be for Mickey Loomis? In my opinion, that's an impossible sell. And I get it. There were extenuating circumstances. The personnel in Denver at that time was awful. You had Paxton Lynch and Brock Osweiler and all those guys at quarterback. I get it. But the same excuses were made with Oakland and could be made with Oakland when Dennis Allen was there as the head coach. You'd be going into you'd set yourself up for the exact same thing that you literally just had to get out of. To me, that would be an impossible sell. And out of the three names there, it's the one I am least high on, potentially for the Saints ever going down that path. I would rather the Saints hire a first-year head coach than another retread. And if that's Aaron Glenn, okay. As much as I want you to distance yourself from the past, at least that is a breath of fresh air. I don't know if they want to go back-to-back defensive head coaches. I think that's a tough sell. Clint Kubiak could make it an easier one, though, because that definitely seems like a hit for the New Orleans Saints. Now, could another NFL team come and poach him? Sure. Does the new head coach want to retain him? All things you have to look through. Like all things you have to go through and decide and let play out. But as tough of a sell as another defensive head coach coming in, that could make it easier. If I had my way, yeah, I'd go with the young offensive guy too. I don't know if that should be Joe Brady, but you've seen him have good odds for this job, and now you see Jeremy Fowler reporting like, okay, keep an eye on that guy for the New Orleans Saints. And there are ties. And if you're moving on from the past, step by step, if you're moving on the pass like the New Orleans Saints seem to be trying to do, Joe Brady doesn't have a very long history with you, so that does go there. We're early in the process, but just thought I'd throw that out there, given that's a guy well-connected in the NFL, throwing out 3 names for you. That's kind of where I stand. We'll see. So Mickey Loomis expected to be back. No big surprise there. And there's 3 names to maybe look at for head coach there in the future of New Orleans. All right, we are going to grab another break, come back on the other side. Really, really, really tough news for Matt McMahon and LSU men's basketball. Jalen Reed out for the season. We'll give you a brief thumbnail, some reaction to that, and we'll go around the SEC next here on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, 2 beautiful hotel properties in Baton Rouge, the Watermark downtown, the Renaissance Southtown right there on Bluebonnet. And when it comes to hosting your event, both the Watermark and the Renaissance are perfect. The Watermark is a gorgeous, elegant spot in downtown Baton Rouge. That wedding reception, that smaller gathering, that meeting space, they can do it. They've kept so much of the history and tradition of that iconic building while modernizing it. The Gregory is a great restaurant inside of the Watermark as well. And then, of course, the Renaissance Hotel, Southtown, right there on Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge. It's more modern. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous hotel property at the Renaissance Hotel where they have meeting space that can accommodate up to 500 people, 7,000 square foot of meeting space, perfectly located right off of Bluebonnet and I-10. It's the Watermark and the Renaissance Hotels in Baton Rouge.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
We are brought to you by DraftKings, and the Emirates NBA Cup is here. You can win big when you get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Yes, the Emirates NBA Cup is here. Will LA repeat? Find out. There's sure to be rim-rattling slams and no-look passes that bring the crowd to their feet. So get behind your favorite players and the prop bets that you can make on DraftKings, the home of NBA player props. If it's your first time, by the way, we've got a special offer for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. So score big with DraftKings Sportsbook. Every point counts. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the code Baton Rouge. That's code Baton Rouge, one word, Baton Rouge, for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537. 21 plus, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball. Licensing partner, Golden Nugget, Lake Charles.
Fantasy Blitz coming up here in the next segment. So Darin Tietgen, whotostart.net. Fantasy playoffs getting ready to start. Get it in here. Get your questions in. You can put them in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat, or you can tweet them at me at Musso Matthew. Fantasy Blitz here in the next segment. Really, really disappointing news for Matt McMahon and LSU basketball came down the pike last night. Jalen Reed, of course, if you were watching the game against Florida State on Tuesday, goes down like a minute and a half in with a knee. Matt McMahon, after the game, called it a knee sprain. Further imaging now has confirmed and revealed that it is a torn ACL, and Jalen Reed will be out for the remainder of the season. And that's a big loss. That's a gut punch. You were already thin in your front court coming in. Of course, you don't have Tyrell Ward this season, and Jalen Reed had really shown that he had taken the next step. And that was one of the things you were really focusing in on with LSU basketball here in 24-25. You saw him, you saw flashes of it last season. Could he take the next step? And boy, had he. I mean, he kind of went into that Florida State game averaging 12 and I think it was 12-7 or 12-6, somewhere around there. Started every game for you, really filled out the body. I mean, just had become a presence for you inside. And not only that, a veteran presence. When I look at this, I see it impacting LSU really in two fronts mainly. Experience in SEC play, because you lack that now in your front court going forward. And offensively, because he was averaging double figures. Was he great on the glass? Yeah, he was doing really well there. He was blocking shots, all of those things as well. But now you'll go forward with Robert Miller and Corey Chest and Derek Fountain and Damian Collins, and there's not a lot of SEC experience there. I mean, Fountain's got some. I mean, he played at State and then transferred over to LSU. Collins, obviously, from Kentucky, but he's battled all those injuries. Chest and Miller, freshmen. So that definitely hurts. From a defensive standpoint, I think you're good. Like, your rim protection, I think, is still really, really good. Collins and Chest have been great at that early on in the season, and Jalen Reed was helping out with that as well, over a block average per game. But if I look at one area that I think that it hurts you least, I would still say the defense and the rim protection should be fine. That's honestly what you were using Collins and Chest for in general, was the rebounding and the blocking of shots and things of that nature. So I think you're good there. But none of those guys have ever averaged double figures in their career. Jalen Reed was doing that. That's a tough blow. And you have 5 games now, 5 more non-conference games before SEC play tips off, and we all see how deep the SEC is, and it's very, very deep. That's a tough blow for LSU and Matt McMahon. There's really no way you can sugarcoat it. I will tell you this: what comes of the utmost importance now, obviously keeping the rest of those guys healthy, but I think Damian Collins in general, because he has the injury history, and you've already seen that shoulder crop up on him once. Now, granted, he gave you 18 minutes on Tuesday night and played very well, but that is just an area where it's like, okay, those guys have to stay healthy, and number 10 specifically for LSU. But they'll go forward. Still got a lot in front of you. You're still off to a great start. You're just a little thinner now, but at a position where in a position group where you really couldn't afford much more now. You really can't afford anything more. All right, but they'll go forth. They're back on the floor here Friday night. Actually, I do believe LSU men's basketball. Forgive me, I don't have the schedule right in front of me. I'll pull that up.
They play Sunday.
Sunday. It's Sunday? Okay.
Yeah, Florida Gulf Coast.
I knew it was Florida Gulf Coast, but Sunday. Okay, it's a long layoff. Fine, and then finals are coming up. Gosh, they're about to disappear on us for a little bit, the men's basketball team. All right, so Sunday against Florida Gulf Coast, LSU, and they'll be back on the floor in the PMAC sans Jalen Reed. All right, let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Georgia Bulldogs.
You know, with all the signing day hoopla and everything else, transfer portal going on around here, need I remind you, the SEC Championship is Saturday, and Kirby Smart met with the media on Thursday, updated the status of a couple injured Georgia players. We'll start with Travis Etienne and Christian Miller. Etienne, of course, the running back, and Christian Miller, a defensive lineman. Both players limited in practice, Smart said, and he said both will be listed as questionable on the Georgia injury report. They should continue being listed as questionable, I should say. But the Bulldogs have also been without defensive back Joniel Aguero. He didn't play in the Georgia Tech game, and Smart explained on Tuesday he was initially injured against Ole Miss. It required surgery to his hand, and it's just been a challenge for him to play wearing a club. For what it's worth, though, Aguero was not listed on the Georgia injury report Wednesday night.
The Texas Longhorns.
Steve Sarkisian also met with the media on Thursday ahead of the SEC Championship. Also updated a pretty significant injury, that to Kelvin Banks. Kelvin Banks has been practicing all week. Per Sarkisian, suffered a lower body injury against Texas A&M. Did not return, although was seen in the second half wearing street clothes and a walking boot. Listed as questionable against Georgia, but status still yet to fully be determined. They'll take that throughout the week. Of course, Kelvin Banks, one of the highest-ranked prospects in the 2025 NFL Draft.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Significant loss for Arkansas. Starting left guard Patrick Kutas entering the transfer portal, 6'5", 313 pounds junior. He'll have one season left. Matt Zenitz from 24/7 Sports, the first to break the news. He was sidelined for the majority of the season with a back injury suffered in the second practice of fall camp. All in all, started 13 of the 26 games he appeared in Fayetteville.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
And a really rough loss for Mark Stoops and company up in Lexington. Wide receiver Barryon Brown will enter the transfer portal. Former 4-star and top 100 recruit, has 1 year of eligibility remaining, was a freshman All-American, a preseason first-team All-American coming into this season. All in all, 122 career catches, over 1,500 yards, and 11 touchdowns in 37 career games. But he's coming off a career low in catches, yards, and touchdowns in 2024. Coming out of high school, he picked Kentucky over Alabama, TCU, and Ole Miss. He's the 6th highest ranked commit in Kentucky history. Now enters the portal. All right. There you have it. That is around the SEC. We are due for a break, but before we get there, pass on some congratulations to LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier, a finalist for the Manning Award announced earlier today. Awesome to see for Nuss. I mean, look, he's had a fantastic year. I mean, I think you've heard it enough that he's going to finish with the second best passing season for a quarterback in LSU history. He's been awesome, and hopefully he could get some hardware really to come along with that. So Garrett Nussmeier, officially a finalist for the Manning Award. All right, grab a break. We'll come back on the other side. Fantasy playoffs getting ready to start. Darin Tietgen, whotostart.net. Personalized fantasy football advice. Get your questions in. Again, you can tweet them at me at Musso Matthew. You can also put them in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat. Your Fantasy Blitz with Darin Tietgen is next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Darin James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. Every home listed by every company, all in one place. You know where to find them. Agent225.com, agent225.com. Talking to all y'all over in Lafayette as well in the 337. Darin James has an office over in Lafayette. If you need to sell your home in the 337, you need Darin James. The #1 realtor in the state of Louisiana, the number 14 realtor in America on the Wall Street Journal's Real Trends list of the top 1% of realtors in America. That came out just a couple of weeks ago. I'm so proud, so fired up for Darin. I've told you for years that he's the best. And Darin has a way of making you feel like, despite all the volume he does, that you are his only client. He's exceptional at the entire process of communicating throughout and getting you results. Number 14 in America on the transaction side. It's Darin James. 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darin James.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Always a pleasure to tell you about our friends at the Williamson Eye Center. Check them out online at williamsoneye.com. They've got locations all over the greater Baton Rouge area. On the Baton Rouge General Campus, you turn off a Bluebonnet onto Picardy, you make that right, and then right there at the stop sign, the building on the right, the first 2 floors, that's the Williamson Eye Center. State-of-the-art dry eye center, and it's full service. Of course, they have their state-of-the-art surgery center there where you can have your LASIK or whatever surgical procedure you're having, but they have your standard annual eye exam as well at the Williamson Eye Center. Learn more at williamsoneye.com. The thing I tell you every day is take the advice that I was given and change your life. To give yourself the gift of sight is absolutely incredible. If you're someone like me who spent your life with contacts or glasses, there is a way to be done with it forever. WilliamsonEye.com. Go see Dr. Blake Williamson for that free consultation. 924-2020. 924-2020 or WilliamsonEye.com for the Williamson Eye Center.
After further review, this is the Fantasy Football Blitz.
Do you know who I am?
Powered by whotostart.net.
Who the hell are you?
Whotostart.net. The Fantasy Football Blitz.
Who the bitten?
This is the Fantasy Football Blitz. Powered by whotostart.net.
Fantasy Football Blitz, personalized fantasy football advice from my guy Darin Tietgen over at whotostart.net. Get your questions in, Bayou Ford YouTube chat. Again, you can tweet them at me, at Musso Matthew, or at 1045 ESPN, and we'll get those answered for you. Darin, great to have you as always. How are you?
Mr. Musso, good to talk to you.
Absolutely. Darin, let's start tonight. Boy, do we have a hell of a game tonight. Packers and Lions. What are we keeping an eye on?
Yeah, I mean, all your usual starters that you would start on a normal week are definitely going to be having an uptick in value this week. Obviously, both defenses are fairly good, but expect the ball to be in the air quite a bit. And then, of course, all three running backs, so two for the Lions and obviously just Josh Jacobs for the Packers, all should be started.
We do still have some buys happening in the NFL. Who are we keeping an eye on if you have to replace?
Yeah, if you're looking at running back, we kind of like Zach Charbonnet for the Seattle Seahawks. It's kind of the PPR back, doesn't get a ton of carries, but the game script here in Arizona should be good for him. So look for him to catch a few balls out of the backfield and possibly fill in as a flex for you. And then a wide receiver we really like is Parker Washington. With the Jaguars, he had 12 targets last week and should be having a pretty good matchup against the Titans this week. So there's a couple guys for you. Then if you're looking for a quarterback, if somebody kind of drops or is no longer with Kirk Cousins, he's got a revenge game against the Vikings. And the matchup's not great, but his next four matchups, so for the entire rest of the season, are all very, very good. So someone gave up on Kirk Cousins and you need a quarterback, we're not going to give up hope on him.
Darin, we'll get to questions here in a moment, but I understand you'll have a new promotion up at the site, the Playoff Push. Let the people know how they can get involved with that.
Yeah, if you just go to the site, it should be on there as a drop-down choice for you. It's $5.99 for the rest of the season. So if you need to get into the playoffs or you need some help with your playoff lineups, we're here to help.
Playoff Push promotion, $5.99 for the rest of the season over at whotostart.net. Y'all check it out. All right, let's get to questions. Darin, who to start, Bowers or Kelsey at tight end? That's a hell of a team.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, if you can't start one of them at flex, I guess you go with Bowers. Hard to bench a guy like Kelsey, but Bowers is just too hot right now.
Who to start, Njoku or Hawkinson?
Yeah, kind of the same thing there. Obviously, both guys are worthy of starting. I think I'm going to lean towards Njoku there. It looks like Winston just throws no matter what. Last week was a kind of a bad matchup for him, but Njoku still found the end zone twice and had a big game. So I think you're going to stick with the Cleveland Brown there.
Ryan G, we have two from Ryan G. Who to start, Golfer Mayfield and Jerry Jeudy or Amari Cooper?
I'm going to go with Mayfield for sure at the quarterback, and then Jeudy at the wide receiver position. Like with David Njoku, just too hot right now to sit those guys with Winston throwing the ball a ton. So, go with Jeudy at the wide out spot there.
Got about a minute left. PPR league, Waddle or Chubb? Who to start?
Yeah, until Chubb got in and got like a late kind of gimme touchdown catch, which is kind of rare for him. He really wasn't doing much for that Browns team. So I think I would sit Chubb this week, going with the other option there.
One more real quick. Stephen G. Brian Thomas Jr. or Marvin Harrison Jr. says looking for a flex spot to get a first-round bye in his playoff.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, Harrison's been kind of up and down. The matchup's okay. Even with the backup quarterback in, Thomas is a tough play. So I'm going to lean towards Harrison there. Just might be a little bit safer.
Thank you, Darin. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Musso.
It's AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Supper Club. You can book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. One of the things about Supper Club that I love is if you want to go to Supper Club and be a baller, you can do it. You want to go to Supper Club and order a $5,000 bottle of Chateau Lafite Rothschild? You can do it. You want to go have $400 shots of cognac? You can do it. You can have experiences at Supper Club that usually are reserved for Las Vegas and New York and Paris and Abu Dhabi. Like, that's here in Baton Rouge. But the thing you got to remember as well, if you want to go to Supper Club and have the best steak of your life and have a few appetizers, a dessert, bottle of wine, you can do it as affordably as any other restaurant in town. But the experience at Supper Club is unmatched. Introduced open seating at the bar, first come, first serve. So if you knock off of work, you want to head by Supper Club, you can walk in without a reservation, see if you can grab a bar stool or a table by the bar as well. Have a great dinner, maybe cocktail, close some business. Book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. The Lions host the Packers tonight in Detroit. The Lions clinch a playoff spot with a win, but they're only 1 game ahead of the Eagles for the best record in the NFC. ESPN's Jason McCourty says there is some pressure on Detroit.
I think them being at home in front of that crowd, doing things and making history like they did last year, I think that's a big boost to the city and to that football team. So I think this is a must-win because when you look at the Eagles' remaining schedule and the teams that they're playing down the stretch, they have favorable matchup. I think it's the 5th easiest schedule in the NFL, where the Lions have the 3rd hardest.
Jason McCourty on Unsportsmanlike. The Lions have won 10 straight. UCLA fires offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy after 1 season. Before joining the Bruins, he was the OC for the Commanders and the Chiefs, where he won 2 Super Bowls. ESPN's Jeff Passan reports right-hander Luis Severino will sign a 3-year, $67 million free agent contract with the Athletics, a record deal for the franchise in terms of guaranteed money. Severino pitched this year for the Mets.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Friday. Will Kirk Cousins prove the Vikings wrong, or will this be his last start as the Falcons quarterback? It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride!
Hour number 2 off and running here on a Thursday edition of AFR, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing Service. Musso in for Moscona. Jacob Beck, Paul O'Neill along for the ride as well. And we're happy to have you. That first hour flew by. I suspect the rest of these will also. We still have plenty to cover. About to get into Mason Taylor declaring for the draft and really start on the offensive side of the roster moves for LSU in the last 24 hours. Lee Sterling with his best bets still to come. Mike Triplett still to come. And I want to do a big broader segment on portal needs for LSU now that the early signing date is in the rearview mirror and the portal is set to open on Monday. So we still have a ton to get to. And then Otter, Jimmy will be here for Otter Locks to close the show as per usual. All right, starting off here. The dust is settling, right, on the early national signing day, but the roster movement for LSU certainly has not settled. We'll start with the news today, and we'll start with Mason Taylor. Obviously, everybody knew that Mason Taylor was going to have a decision to make. And he has officially declared for the 2025 NFL Draft. So when you look back on Mason Taylor's career at LSU, you look back at a guy who leaves LSU after 3 years with 129 receptions. That's an LSU record. 1,308 yards receiving. That's an LSU record. And a guy that has left you with multiple memorable moments, none bigger than his performance in the 2022 Alabama game. He is on the short list for best tight end in LSU history, and a lot of people would put him at the top of that list as the best tight end in LSU history. When you look at it from a standpoint of Brian Kelly, and this is one of the one things we heard about him coming in is developing tight ends. Like, he's great at it, and the history at Notre Dame showed you. I think you feel really good going forward with Brian Kelly mentoring, helping mentor tight ends and them fitting into the offense that LSU has, given what you saw with the first one he had experience with here at LSU in Mason Taylor. So, hats off to Taylor on a great career, and he will go forth into the NFL Draft. I do want to play you this, though, because it stuck out to me. So, every Saturday during the season on Eagle 98.1 Game Day, I sit down with Jim Nagy from the Senior Bowl to scout the competition. Well, heading into the Nichols game, we took that as an opportunity to really look at the LSU players that they were keeping an eye on for Senior Bowl. So it was coming off the first game against USC, and Mason Taylor was heavily on their radar. And I asked Jim Nagy about Mason Taylor, and this is what he said.
Going back to the spring with Mason being at the pro day for Jaden's pro day, and they ran that pass game script with Neighbors and Brian Thomas and all those guys. To me, the guy that stood out was Mason Taylor, you know, because in last year's offense, he was really just kind of a check down player for them. I didn't break down the percentage of catches, but man, it seemed like everything he caught was in the flat. Like, you never saw this guy run seams or get downfield. So it was good to see him do that a little more on Sunday against USC. Obviously a really natural athlete. He's smooth, he's fluid, he catches the ball really well. So he's going to end up being one of the top tight ends in this draft class. The beginning of that is what stuck out the most to me here, that we're now,
almost 3 months removed from that conversation. He said, you go back to the spring and at Jaden's pro day, Mason Taylor was the guy that stood out over Thomas and Neighbors, who obviously were both first-round picks and are having great careers so far. But Mason Taylor, because you got to see the skill set on display, and you got to see more of it on display this year as he was third on LSU's teams in receptions and yards. So great career. Best of luck to Mason Taylor. Now, that does leave a hole when you talk about pass catchers for LSU, or I should say, not leave a hole. It just further shines a spotlight on that hole. What also did was earlier today, Shelton Sampson entered his name into the transfer portal for LSU. Not all that surprising, but it's a bummer. It's a former 5-star guy from Baton Rouge, Catholic High, like local guy. You never want to lose that. But what you're really losing there is still the potential. And you've been through 2 years, and the potential just hasn't been reached at LSU for Shelton Sampson. He has appeared in 11 games for LSU over 2 years, but has not recorded a receiving stat yet. It's been difficult for him to get on the field, and when he's had his opportunities, it's been difficult for him to do much with it. That's just the honest truth. Again, does it sting losing a former 5-star from Baton Rouge? Absolutely, it does. But it's also a guy that there's still so much unknown. You didn't know if you could count on him going in to 2025, but it's another body that you lose. And it's disappointing for Shelton Sampson as well. Remember, he was the guy that everyone talked about early in camp. He then had the injury, and you never really heard from him again throughout camp. You were looking for the guy to stretch the field this year with Hilton. He got his opportunity. It didn't come to fruition. So Shelton Sampson, off to the transfer portal. You did get one bit of good news. And that was Wednesday night when Aaron Anderson took to Instagram and announced that he would be returning for another year of eligibility. And this is huge for LSU. Absolutely massive for a lot of reasons. Let's go through some of them, and then we'll look again at what it means big picture for the receiving room and what you still need if you're the Tigers. For one, it's a veteran presence back in your receiving room, which you needed. Okay? Kyron Lacey, out of eligibility, gone. CJ Daniels, portal, gone. Aaron Anderson Mason Taylor, draft, gone. Like, he provides a veteran pass catcher for LSU returning. He was also, I would argue, your most consistent receiver all season for LSU in 2024. He was second on the team in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. But when I look at him and say he was the most consistent, here's why I go that route. Anytime LSU needed a big play, they went to Aaron Anderson, and he delivered when it came to the receivers. Everyone's going to immediately think about Ole Miss, and you should, by the way. That's the biggest play in LSU's season in 2024, was the late touchdown from Nuss to Anderson in that Ole Miss game. That's what you're all going to think, and you should. But it started game number 1 against USC. In game number 1 against USC, Aaron Anderson gave LSU the lead late in the third quarter in that game. South Carolina, when you were making your comeback, Aaron Anderson was a huge part of that. He caught a long one down the sideline that set up your touchdown right before the half that brought you back within one score of South Carolina. And then in the second half, when LSU went to take the lead, the first lead they had in the whole game, Aaron Anderson converted the only third down on that drive, a 3rd and 7 on the first set of downs. He converts that and really jump-starts the rest of your drive. Caden Durham would polish it off, and LSU would take the lead. You could look as recently as the Oklahoma game with the kickoff return, or him scoring the only touchdown against Florida. When they needed the big play, when they needed something good to happen and they had to go to a receiver, they went to Aaron Anderson, and he delivered every single time. So getting that guy back is absolutely massive if you're LSU. Also, just from a, the player standpoint, you love to see it for Aaron Anderson. What a journey he's had. We all know that. 5-star from Carr, number 1 player in the state of Louisiana, goes to Bama, plays in 1 game, redshirts, transfers back home, struggles to kind of find that role in his first season back in Baton Rouge, and then explodes this year. And now has a chance to build on that and improve his own draft stock. So the decision for Aaron Anderson makes a whole bunch of sense. From an LSU standpoint, though, I don't think you can really put a price on it. While pass catchers are leaving out the door, he's coming back, and that's massive. Now, what do you do the rest of the way? Well, you need more. I mean, clearly. Obviously, you brought in Teron Francis, Phillip Wright in this very recent signing class. You get Kyle Parker back from injury, but the experience just wanes. Xavion Thomas is the only other guy on this team from a receiver standpoint that can return. He only had 20 receptions this year. You still lack a number one. Like, as great as Aaron Anderson was this year, and he's great in that role as the two. I don't think Aaron Anderson's going to be your number one wide receiver. He wasn't this year. You didn't have a number one this year. You still don't have a true number one for next season. You have to go get one. That's going to have to be in the transfer portal. And we know LSU's going to be after playmaking wide receivers, and they're trying to be aggressive here in this first portal window. And you've got some really good ones out there already in the transfer portal. Everyone's going to look at the former five-star from Texas Tech, but you also have KC Conception from NC State. Like, there's a lot of great receivers out there in the portal to go get. LSU has to go make their mark and get one of them because you need a true number one. You have a lot of guys with potential, but it's not realized potential, and there's a huge lack of experience there. We'll see what Chris Hilton opts to do. Obviously, he could come back if he so chooses. He could seek greener pastures. He could seek a different opportunity. He could seek whatever he wants. In the end, Chris Hilton caught 5 balls this year. And it's been hard to keep him on the field. So I would still actually count him in the unrealized potential role. Elite talent, former 5-star, all of those things. But you need more. And we're going to kind of run through this again when we go through portal needs for LSU, because wide receivers right at the top of the list. But getting Aaron Anderson back is a major step in the right direction for LSU. But you have to figure out the pieces around him. And I think you still have to obviously get a true number one. But you're getting arguably your most reliable target from 2024 back. It's hard to overstate the importance of that. So Aaron Anderson will return to LSU. Mason Taylor to the NFL draft. Shelton Sampson into the transfer portal. And unless I'm missing something in the last few minutes, you're all caught up on the wide receiver room at LSU right now. Okay, we will grab a break. We will come back on the other side, kind of continue the talk around LSU's roster in general. There's a mock draft out today from Josh Edwards over at CBS Sports that I want to look at. We'll look at it from an LSU angle because there's 2 names that aren't in it that I think are most significant. And we'll look at it from a Saints angle as well, because I kind of had a revelation today looking at this draft from a Saints angle. And I'm actually kind of surprised it took me this long to get to that point. But we'll talk about all of that next here on the other side of this break. It's Thursday AFR. We're presented by Decision Critical, concierge nursing service. Musso in for Moscona. Stay here.
After further review.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured and it's not your fault, do what injured people in Louisiana have done for more than 30 years. Call Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. 888-8888. It's all 8s. 888-8888. I don't even need to give you the area code because no matter where you are in the state, it doesn't matter. Just dial 888-8888 for Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Gordon does an awesome job, man. He's a great person. They've been so invested in our communities with all the charitable and service work that they do. They give back into the communities that they represent, no matter what time of year. If it's the bike giveaway for kids around Christmas time, if it's the laptop giveaway around back to school time, if it's the charitable work they do during October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they're always involved in the community. We tell you all the time, of course, about the G team and what Gordon's done with NIL and the opportunities that he's afforded student athletes. Just a great, great community partner. If you've been injured, you need representation, go to getgordon.com. That's getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram can get you in a new 2025 Ram 1500 truck with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off the newly designed Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. Don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Quick reminder about Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. They're the best. If you are, gentlemen, thinking about popping the question and you're thinking about where am I going to go buy that diamond, I want you to consider this. There are places that will sell you man-made lab diamonds, but what are you buying? It's according to its makeup and characteristics, sure, diamond. But is it going to hold its value? Like, is that the way you want to say, I love you, I want to spend the rest of my life with you? Go to Lee Michaels. Go to Lee Michaels. Walk in the door. Experience the thing I talk about all the time, which is the Lee Michaels experience. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry with 10 locations. Baton Rouge, 2 locations in Baton Rouge. New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, Mississippi, Texas as well. 10 locations across 3 states. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Thrill her, gentlemen. Thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry.
All right, it's not quite mock draft season, but then again, it's always mock draft season, right? I bring this one up mainly because of the timing. The regular season in college football has passed, so, I mean, that's obviously a good time to reevaluate where everything stands, release something. Okay, you've seen them play their last full season for the draft-eligible guys, at least you expect to enter the draft, things of that nature, and reassess and see where everything stands. So I like that aspect of it as well. And when you're looking at a team and a roster like LSU, where there's going to be so much fluidity here over the next few weeks, over the next month or so, with draft decisions, with transfer portal, all of that, it's important to look at really not only who's in there, but who's not mentioned in mock drafts. And again, it's one person's opinion, totally understood. But with where we stand in the season, I like to look at it here. Josh Edwards over at CBS Sports, who's been on the show plenty, does great work over there, actually. He also covers Kentucky. Released a mock draft earlier this morning. Travis Hunter was number 1 overall to the Jaguars. I don't think that's really that big of a surprise. Will Campbell, 4th overall to the Patriots, the first offensive tackle off the board, actually here, which I think tackle makes a lot of sense for the Patriots in multiple fronts. You're going to obviously try to protect Drake May, build around him, getting him a franchise left tackle would be the interesting thing. The question there is just going to be, is it going to be Kelvin Banks or is it going to be Will Campbell? Really, at this point, Josh Edwards has Will Campbell there. Awesome. Campbell officially declared for the draft earlier this week. Has a chance to be LSU's first round tackle ever, which is wild. So Campbell there, 4th overall. What I think is more significant is two guys who aren't in this mock draft. And again, it's only one round, 32 picks, but still, these are both guys that you've seen projected in the first round and still quite recently in the first round. No Harold Perkins, no Garrett Nussmeier. Perkins is still on like everybody's big board as one of the top 3 linebackers in this draft. But of course, there's been whispers. Would he return? Might he return? Things of that nature. Keep an eye on that. He's not going to go first round. You come back, show you're healthy on that on the ACL and go forward there. You absolutely could, and show the consistency that you did in your first year. I mean, like, again, the off-ball linebacker stuff, it's got to be in the past at this point if he does decide. Like, we know it's not where it's going to work. So, I mean, the case for there makes sense, is why Perkins would seek another year. Not having him in this draft, potentially you see that more and more of him falling out of first-round mocks. That can only strengthen that case to return. And then, obviously, Garrett Nussmeier for obvious reasons. It's interesting with Nuss because while it's not first round, you look at it and go, okay, could Nuss still be an early day 2 pick? And if he is, he's still a top 100 player, and that's hard to turn down. And looking at the quarterback class, it's not that deep. It's not really that great of a quarterback class when you consider it in years past. I mean, everybody feels really high on Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, Sean Salisbury was here earlier in the week talking about that. But and because of that, you see Garrett Nussmeier still on big boards as like the 4th best quarterback in the draft. Okay, if you have 3 first-rounders, it's going to be right there, in the second round when a quarterback-needy team might try to get a steal with a guy like Garrett Nussmeier. So, again, maybe a little bit more cautious optimism there. But I will tell you, Chris Trapasso, as recently as, I think, 3 weeks ago, released a mock draft where he had Nussmeier still in the first round. So you're going to look and see how that plays out, but not in this one. And I think that's something to keep an eye on. Does he continue to fall out of those first rounds as you go forward? He'll play in LSU's bowl game. He still has his decision to make, but I don't think I really have to sit here and spell out how massive it would be to get Garrett Nussmeier to return to LSU when it comes to quarterback. I mean, you're going to be in the portal regardless. It's just, is it going to be for a starter because Nuss left? Or is it going to be for a capable backup, much like you did with A.J. Swan? And A.J. Swan has another year, so maybe it's just him. We'll see. Do you address it still in the class of 2025? We'll see how that goes. But that stood out to me here, not having those 2 names on there, because I think those are the two. Now that you've seen Daniels leave, now that you've seen Mason Taylor leave, Nussmeier and Perkins are the 2 guys that are going to garner the most attention really surrounding their draft decision when it comes to LSU's offseason. Not in there. Switching gears to the Saints. The Saints were projected to pick 10th here in this draft by Josh Edwards, and they were taking Nick Scorton, the edge out of Texas A&M. Of course, had a phenomenal couple years at Purdue, which catapulted him into this transfer opportunity to Texas A&M, and he was awesome with the Aggies as well. The revelation that I had, though, kind of when going through this is there really isn't a position that the Saints could spend a first-round pick on, and I'd actually be mad about. They have that many holes. Like, they really do. You want to take another edge rusher? Sure. Okay. I'm in. I'm in on that. You want to take a wide receiver? Okay. Fine. I mean, Chris Olave is not going to play again the rest of this season, and I mean, there's actually been questions about his career with the concussions going all the way back to Ohio State. You want to take? Sure. Okay, I'm in with that. You want to take a quarterback? Absolutely. That would actually make me the most excited, but you want to do that? Sure. You want to take a linebacker? Demario Davis is getting old. All right, I'm fine. You don't normally take linebacker. Fine, whatever. Same with safety. You don't normally see safeties taken in the first round. That's normally saved till a little bit later in the draft. You can get great value, but you want to do it? Fine, whatever. Sure. You have that many holes that there is really nothing they could do in the draft in the first round that I would be disappointed with when I look at the New Orleans Saints going forward. And I mean that as sincerely as I can. Do I have preference? Sure. The preference is quarterback or edge rusher. And maybe even a wide receiver. But do whatever you want. It's only one pick, and it isn't going to change your team drastically in 2025. You're still going to struggle. You're still not going to be very good. But it could go a long way into determining what the Saints want to be going forward as a franchise, as an organization, as a team. So, yeah. Pick whoever you want. You want to pick Nick Scorton? Hell yeah. Kid's awesome. You certainly have questions at edge rusher. Carl Granderson's been really consistent, really good, but Cam Jordan's getting older by the day. You don't know what's going to happen with the future of Chase Young. Is he going to seek free agency again and seek greener pastures? Has he done enough to really garner a deal? Can you re-sign him again short term? There's plenty of questions there. So you want to do that? Sure. You want to take a defensive tackle? Do that too. I don't care. Guard? Go for it. You got to take somebody. And I'm really going to be indifferent, regardless of who it is, at this point with the New Orleans Saints. Our preference is quarterback. Please do that. Please take a quarterback in the first round for the second time only in your franchise. If there was ever a friggin' time to do it, it is now. Like, it is right now. I get it. The class isn't great. I understand. But who knows? Maybe you hit on somebody. Saints love to trade up. Maybe you can package picks and move up and get, into the top 3 or something and grab you a quarterback. Cam Ward, Shador, maybe. I don't know. But there's just nothing you can do that's going to make me mad in the first round this year. All right. We're going to grab a break. We're going to come back on the other side. It's Thursday on AFR, so that obviously means what to watch. Beck, Paul, and I will give you our 3 things that we're watching this football weekend. You got pivotal matchups, playoff races in the NFL, championship weekend in college football. There is a lot to go through, so we will do that next here on AFR. Lee Sterling still to come with his best bets. Stay here.
After further review.
Man, y'all go check out Duplessis Builders on Facebook or Instagram. Whenever they finish a project, they'll post pictures of their completed project, pictures and videos. Man, they just finished a gorgeous pool for one of their clients, and I could not recommend highly enough you go check it out because you'll see the amazing, gorgeous work that they do, the pristine craftsmanship over at Duplessis Builders. Yes, like we always say, you're going to have this beautiful pool, outdoor kitchen, which differentiates itself from most. But when it comes to Duplessis Builders, the thing that above all stands out is their workmanship. A 10-year workmanship guarantee when the industry standard is 1 year. It's because they don't cut corners. They build something beautiful that's meant to last. It's Duplessis Builders. Online, duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Brought to you by Parish Restoration. Parish Restoration. I've told you before about Mold Zero Pure Restoration. Now, Parish Restoration, all the same thing. Patented non-toxic dry fog treatment. Parish, Jim Woodworth, who I've told you about for years now. Jim Woodworth merged with my guys Richard Tilley and Ryan Terrio, all under the Parish umbrella. So it's Parish Restoration, patented non-toxic dry fog. It's been actually pretty remarkable to hear some of these stories of people have put out to bid, for remediation contracts, and they get the number from Parish Restoration, and they'll call and say, "Is this number right?" And they explain why. I say it often. It is a more cost-effective, more efficient way, and also of remediation, and also because it's a dry fog, you're not cutting sheetrock or pulling out carpet or taking things out of your home or your place of business. They spray the fog, they let it dwell, it dissipates, you're back in free and clear and mold-free. It's Parish Restoration. ParishBuilt.com.
All right, back here, AFR Thursday show presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing Service. Musso in for Moscona. Glad to have you all with us here as well. We're halfway home already here on this Thursday. Appreciate everybody for hanging out. Well, being Thursday, another week of football kicking off. Playoff races abound in the NFL, conference championship weekend in college football. We're going to get right to it. Beck, Paul, and I will tell you what we're watching this football weekend. Y'all set, Beck? Hit it.
Here's what we're watching this football weekend.
All right, Beck, you want to start us off as well? You can do that if you would like.
Yeah, 1 second here.
All
okay,
right.
Here we go.
Yeah, I got you. It's all there. We go.
All righty.
Go. Take it away, Beck.
All right, first one I got is the Boise State Broncos. They're playing in the Mountain West Championship. And, of course, the main reason why I think people should watch or care about this game is Ashton Jeanty's chance at history here. I don't think he's going to run for 340 yards to pass up Barry Sanders' all-time season record. But, of course, there's only 7 games in college this week, and a lot of people will be watching this game. I think a lot of Heisman voters will be watching that game. So if Ashton Jeanty can have himself a really good game there against UNLV, who's a ranked team, maybe that gets him over the hump against Travis Hunter in the Heisman race. Of course, the Heisman ceremony will be next Saturday. So good chance for Ashton Jeanty to get himself a really marquee game there, maybe a Heisman moment, if you will, against UNLV in the Mountain West Championship.
Huge playoff implication there, too, because
you
would think the winner of that game, especially if it's Boise, but even UNLV, that'd be your group of 5. Yep. But don't sleep on Army. They're right at 25. They beat Tulane and UNLV upsets Boise State, you can have a little duel there potentially
see what happens.
For that. So, yeah, I can't wait to watch that game tomorrow, actually. Paulie. Oh, wait, back our transition. You have our transition thing?
Oh, yeah, here we go. Hold on.
Paulie.
Nailed it. All right, so I'm going to be watching the Big Ten championship game between the Oregon Ducks and the Penn State Nittany Lions. Oregon, number 1 team in the country, 12-0. Penn State, number 3 in the country, 11-1. Penn State actually leads the series 3-1. They have not played a lot in their history.
No.
Both teams look like locks for the expanded 12-team college football playoff. So this game will be about 2 things: capturing a league title and a postseason seeding. The winner probably gets a first-round bye and potentially the number 1 overall seed, while the other is probably hosting a first-round game.
Yeah, not bad consolation there in the Big Ten.
Yeah, what do they do? What do they do there if Oregon wins, or what if Penn State wins and Georgia wins? Who gets number 1 seed? I wonder.
You'd flip a coin.
Yeah,
I mean, that's tough, man. That'd be Penn State's only signature win.
It would.
So, I mean, then again, Georgia's beating Texas.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see. All right. I, too, have college football things to watch, but we are going to start with the NFL because, as we said, playoff races abound here in the National Football League, especially the top of the NFC with the 1 seed. The Lions, 11-1, separated by just 1 game from the Eagles, but, man, this feels like the golden opportunity for the Eagles to at least tie that race up. The Lions face the Packers Thursday Night Football tonight. That's a 11-1, 9-3 matchup and a rivalry. Meanwhile, the Eagles face the Panthers later this week. So on Sunday, this feels like the golden opportunity for Eagles to pull even. But man, if you're the Lions, you beat the Packers, you really, really have a chance to put some distance between yourself going forward.
All right, my next one is also in the college realm. Got Clemson and SMU in the ACC championship. Of course, this will probably be the main. Well, actually, whoever wins in the Big 12 or whoever loses in the Big 12 championship may be out as well, or probably is out. But with Clemson and SMU, if SMU loses, that's where it becomes interesting. Obviously, if Clemson loses, they're 100% out. But if SMU loses, they'll have a second loss, and they really don't have any good wins. They beat Louisville and Pitt. Those were both ranked wins, but Louisville had a pretty decent season, 8-4, and then Pitt just collapsed down the stretch and lost a bunch of games. They finished 7-5. So not really any great wins for SMU. They had a close loss against BYU, of course, who also didn't finish very strong. So that's an interesting one for the committee. If SMU goes in there, let's say it's a close loss, maybe they lose by a touchdown or something like that. Do they still give SMU a look, or are they out?
You in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Yeah.
That's really, really the folks interested in that one. Should be a great game.
We'll be watching the Atlanta Falcons against the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins' revenge game against his former team. Minnesota still needs a win because they're chasing the 1 seed in the NFC. Atlanta's still trying to keep pace with Tampa in the NFC South.
Is that it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That was the music was transitioning there, so it made it a little bit of a remote.
All right, now we'll go to the college ranks. Big 12 championship. Arizona State, their first year in the league. Can they pull it off against Iowa State? And honestly, look, you got a playoff spot on the line, the only one that the Big 12 is going to get. It'd be interesting to see Arizona State in there, but you look at a guy like Matt Campbell, who's just always had all the hype around him. You always hear his name for NFL jobs. For him to finally be able to get Iowa State over the hump and into the college football playoff, that'd be pretty interesting too. And again, it's a Power 4 league that's only getting 1 bid. It's up for grabs here in this game. Arizona State, Iowa State should be a good one over there in Jerry World.
Or my last one here, a little interesting choice, I think. How about in the NFL? You're going to laugh when you hear this. The Jaguars and the Titans, they are 2 of the worst teams in the NFL. The Jags are 2-10. The Titans are 3-9. The reason why you should even think about caring about this game is, of course, the battle for the first pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah, it's true.
The Jaguars are currently tied for last in the league. They're 2-10. The Titans are 3-9. They're just a game ahead of them. So this could be a pivotal game when it comes to the tankathon, if you will, and who gets the number 1 pick in the draft. The Jaguars, of course, lost Trevor Lawrence, so that probably makes this a little bit one-sided for the Titans. They are a 3.5-point choice right now at home. Will Levis obviously has been up and down, but let's see what happens in that one. That could be a pivotal game for the number 1 pick in the NFL draft.
My last one is an NFC West battle. Seattle Seahawks against the Arizona Cardinals. Currently, Seattle is leading this division by 1 game. Who wants it more? The Rams are still hanging in there at 6-6 as well. So it's a 3-way race between Seattle, Arizona, and the Rams.
And, of course, the SEC Championship, Georgia and Texas. One of these teams getting in. A lot of people think both of them are firmly in the field. I think it will be interesting if Georgia loses and has that second loss and Texas overcomes their only loss of the season against Georgia. What happens to the Bulldogs? Everyone's focused so much on the ACC Championship as a way to get Alabama in. That could potentially get Alabama in as well, regardless of what happens in the ACC Championship, because of head-to-head. Bama beat Georgia, and then Georgia couldn't. Their only win would be Texas, but you lose in the ACC Championship. What happens? The playoff implications make that interesting, as does the rematch factor. It's always fun to see who wins the rematch, right? And it normally is the team that lost the first meeting. We'll keep a close eye on the SEC Championship for a lot of different reasons around here. Playoff and rematch and revenge factor is one of them. All right, there you have it. That is what we're watching here this football weekend. It's Thursday's AFR, and presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing Services. We are going to grab a break. We will come back on the other side. Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports. He's here with his best bets as he is every week. That's next on AFR.
With Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. I love sharing 5-star Google reviews. Here's one from Ricky Gomez, who said Chris, his technician, was very professional and knowledgeable during the HVAC evaluation. He provided details and recommendations in a clear and concise manner. That's one of the things that always stands out. If you're having an issue with your AC or your heater, and River City's 1 Hour Air sends out a technician for an evaluation, they're going to explain your options to you. And that may sound simple, but none of it, I don't know anything about an HVAC, neither do you. Let's be honest. So whenever they go get up in your attic or they go look at your HVAC unit on the side of your house and they come talk to you, they're going to explain very clearly what's happening and your options to remedy it. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. 752-0001.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram can get you in a new 2025 Ram 1500 truck with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off the newly designed Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Place your bets, gentlemen.
It's time to head to the window.
Don't gamble it all in one place.
This is Lee Sterling's Best Bets, brought to you by Paramount Sports.
Back here after further review on a Thursday. Musso in for Moscona. Time for your best bets with Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports on Twitter at Paramount Sports. Lee, we appreciate it. How are you?
Can't complain. Got to work off about 4.5 pounds that I gained
over the holidays. Yeah. You know why else I'm sure you're doing pretty well? How about a 5-0 week for Lee Sterling last week here on AFR? 5-0 undefeated. Best week of the year so far. Let's build on it, shall we?
Okay, let's do it.
Conference championship weekend and some NFL, Lee. Let's start. Local team, Tulane. They have to go up to West Point to face Army in the AAC championship. They're coming off that loss to Memphis where, man, they saw all their playoff dreams kind of crushed. Lane 5, though, on the road against the Black Knights.
So Tulane's staff has done a really good job playing triple option offenses. Summerall and his staff has held Army the last 2 years when they were at Troy to 9 combined points. So they know how to defend the option. That's very important. The negative here is it's going to be cold. It's going to be high 20s to low 30s and windy, 15 to 20 miles an hour. The under 7-3 against the spread here, the last 10 years in conference games where the temperature is below 32 degrees. Army, 5-8 against the spread as a home dog. I think the play's the under here. I know it's a little harder to tackle in the cold weather, but I think you got two teams that like to run the football. Give me the under 45.5 total points.
All right, under 45.5 in Tulane Army. Another local team playing for a conference championship, of course, is the Raging Cajuns. They're hosting the game over there at Cajun Field, facing the Marshall Thundering Herd. Been a really good year for Coach DeSormo over there across the basin. They are also laying 5 against the Thundering Herd. How do you see that one?
Yeah, I think that Marshall might be too one-dimensional here to pull off the win here. They rely really heavily on rushing the football, and they're really limited vertically through the air. The Raging Cajuns, 15th in scoring, averaging 35.6 points per game. They only held under 33 points 3 games this year. I think their ability to pass is going to be the difference here. I think it might be tight for a while, but sometimes you got to lay it if you want to play it. Raging Cajuns, 37-27.
All right, Raging Cajuns to win the Sun Belt. Chatting with Lee Sterling here, of course, Paramount Sports. Lee, before we move forward with the rest of the games, the free play I do see is tonight's game, Thursday Night Football, and what a doozy we have. Detroit and Green Bay. Lions laying 3. How can they get the free play?
Yeah, we don't do this normally, especially a big game like this. They want to get it for free. Just be one of the first 5 callers. Call 800-400-9741. We'll give you tonight's huge Detroit and Green Bay game. Just call that number, 800-400-9741. And what a run it's been. We went 5-0 on the show last week. Went 15-3 from Thanksgiving Day through Monday night. So after a tough couple weeks to start November, we've really gotten on a roll, and this is usually the best month of the year for me in December. So anyone wants to hop on board, normally it's $447 for 4 weeks from tonight all the way through the 31st of December. They use coupon code SAVE200, just $247, ParamountSports.com.
Again, 800-400-9741 for the free play, ParamountSports.com. Get on our guy, man. He's hot right now, heading down the stretch here of the football season. Let's jump back into the college slate, the ACC Championship League. Plenty of eyes on this one. Playoff implications abound. Yep. A lot of those eyes in Tuscaloosa, Alabama on this game. SMU and Clemson, the Mustangs, a 2-point favorite.
So I don't know if you realize this, but we could have 4 winners in these games, 4 major conference championship games that weren't even in the conference last year.
Yeah.
So crazy stuff. But so the public loves Clemson here. They're thinking, oh, okay, playing in front of probably 75, 80% Clemson fans here will make the 2-hour drive. And, coming off looking better last couple weeks. But how about this? Kate Klubnik, last 4 games against Pitt, Virginia Tech, Louisville, and also South Carolina, average to above average teams, only thrown for 6 yards per pass attempt. So if you spread that out over the season, that's bottom 15 along. That's with teams like Rice, Sam Houston State, and UConn. Kevin Jennings, on the other hand, the starter who came in at SMU in the 4th game, averaging 9.3 yards per pass attempt, and they won 9 straight with him as a starter. They've scored between 28 and 66 points in all these games, and their defense has allowed only 13 points combined the last 2 weeks against Virginia and Cal here. I know everyone would love to see Clemson win this game, could possibly put 2 teams from the ACC in if that's what you're rooting for, but I don't see it. I think SMU is the better team. I think they win 28-24.
Hey, Lee, there's a lot of people around here rooting for that. Nobody wants to see Alabama in this playoff around these parts. All right. He likes the Mustangs, SMU. It's been a great season, their first season there in the ACC. Okay, the SEC Championship. A lot of implications here, too. Love the rematch and like the revenge factor there for Texas potentially, but does a 3-loss Georgia get in if Texas beats them? The Longhorns are the favorite in the revenge spot in, almost said the Georgia Dome, in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Texas -2. What you think?
I think the only way that Georgia would get left out, they'd have to get blown out by 20, 30 points. Now, first game, Texas was out physical in that game by Georgia. Georgia punched them in the face, and they didn't punch back. I don't see the Bulldogs bullying the Longhorns, especially after watching Texas dominate Texas A&M. That game, that score should have been 27-30-0. If that was the case, this line would be sitting at 5.5, 6 points. So Georgia's offense and defense, you can check it out. They are not in the top 25 in any major statistical category. And if you watch them, you know they're not even close to the teams that won national titles. I know that Texas's quarterback, not 100%, but I think you're going to see Arch Manning in an expanded role. I know he only ran the ball 3 times for 14 yards and a touchdown against A&M, and Georgia is susceptible to a running quarterback. I look for more wrinkles than last week. I could see him playing 25-30% of the downs here, and favorite 25-6 straight up in SEC championship games. You only got to lay 2.5. Only advantage Georgia has is home field advantage. I think Texas gets their revenge. I think they win 34-21.
The Texas Longhorns to take on the SEC in their first year in the league. One more game to get to, Lee. We got about a minute left. It's the Saints. They're heading up to the Giants. A 5-point favorite is New Orleans. Just what you think?
So, 2 bad teams. If you gave the Giants back their best players that they let go in free agency, they might be a decent team. They led Dallas for a brief time in the second quarter and on Thanksgiving. I just think the injuries to the offensive line for New Orleans and also Taysom Hill out for the season might be too much. I'm going to say New Orleans wins the game 23-20, but I think you want to take the points in the G-Men.
Lee Sterling, Saints win, but the Giants cover. We appreciate it as always, Lee. Paramount Sports at Paramount Sports on Twitter, ParamountSports.com, 800-400-9741 for the free play tonight. Lee, we appreciate the time as always. We'll do it again next week.
Sounds good. Take care.
Absolutely. Again, Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. Y'all get over there, get signed up. Hour 3 is next.
AFR.
Roger about Michelli weighing and measurement. Michelli.com with 30 offices across 11 different states. If you weigh or measure something, Michelli sells, services, rents the products used to weigh and measure. No matter where you are, you can ship your precision measurement devices to Michelli, and they'll calibrate them for you, send them back, or they'll just come to your office, pick them up, and bring them back. They can also do on-site calibration. If you have equipment that can't leave or you don't want it to leave, they can come do on-site calibrations as well with their mobile calibration labs. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement, online at Michelli.com. Louisiana-born, Louisiana-owned and operated for 76 years. They've continued to grow, expand their footprint while maintaining that local ownership, local feel, handshake deals, face-to-face sales. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. They're also hiring. Check out the careers tab at Michelli.com. Again, online at Michelli.com, Michelli.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Darin. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
SportsCenter. I'm Doug Brown. NFL Week 14 kicks off tonight in the NFC North as the 11-1 Lions host the 9-3 Packers. ESPN's Dan Orlovsky believes this is a must-win for Green Bay.
The Packers are the team that matches up well with Detroit. You got to prove that you belong. Hey, we know Detroit's great. We think Green Bay can be great. The whole offseason was Green Bay's going to the Super Bowl. Jordan Love's going to win MVP. Jordan Love, this is a big game. You're the lesser quarterback so far this season. I know Jordan's been hurt and all that, and he's starting to surge. Prove it.
Dan Orlovsky on Get Up. The Packers have won 7 of their last 8, the only loss in that stretch to the Lions. Cowboys offensive lineman Zach Martin will miss the rest of the season. He needs surgery on his nagging right ankle. He's missed the last 2 games with ankle and shoulder injuries. Martin will be a free agent in the offseason. Georgia coach Kirby Smart hopeful that running back Trevor Etienne will be able to play in the SEC championship game Saturday against Texas. Etienne has missed the last 3 games with a rib injury.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career you'll love with flexibility, great pay and benefits, and one of the country's top workplaces? Come join their growing team. Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
That's right. Woo!
Hour number 3 off and running here on AFR. Musso in for Moscona. We are presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing Service here on a Thursday. Jacob Beck and Paul O'Neill along for the ride as well. And glad to have you here. Start your drive home. Thank you for making us part of your day. 2 hours in the books. We got a jam-packed hour number 3. Going to get into some transfer portal needs here for LSU now that National Signing Day, the early period, is kind of in the rearview mirror for the Tigers. What happens next in the roster construction as you build more towards 2025? Where does LSU need to address in the portal most? Mike Triplett, of course, in his weekly spot. We'll talk some Saints-Giants with Mike from NewOrleans.football here in the next segment as well. And we still got to get to Otter Locks, man. I mean, Otter will wrap it up with us here on Thursday like he does kind of every week. So, again, glad to have you with me and with us, I should say, and we'll get right to it. Transfer portal needs for LSU. It's just the way things are in college football now. You will be in the portal every year for something. LSU has a few areas that I think they really, really must address, and a few that, yes, you have to get someone there, but you're still not really sure what type of player you're looking for there. And what's interesting is LSU's needs, at least in my view, have really shifted from defense mainly to offensive, which hasn't been the case the last few seasons for LSU. And that's a credit to the young guys who stepped up on defense this season and really developed over the course and got a lot of playing time and a lot of experience, and you're counting on them to hopefully be able to take the next step and be a big contributor for you in 2025. It's a nod to the talent you brought in this recruiting class in 2025 on the defensive side of the ball. Plenty of guys who could get in there and play early day one, like a DJ Pickett, like a Zion Williams. And offensively, well, you've lost a lot. And you have more question marks there now than anywhere. I do want to start on defense, though. And I want to start at safety, because safety is one of the more intriguing positions for LSU heading into the 2025 offseason. Kylan Jackson entered the transfer portal like 10 minutes before we came on air. Redshirt freshman. He redshirted in his true freshman year last season, played in 5 games, but one of them was the bowl game, and remember, that does not count for eligibility. Made 1 tackle. This season, Kylan Jackson played in all 12 games for LSU, 4 tackles on the season. So in all 17 games in his time at LSU, 5 tackles. He will move on. Disappointing. Yes, Kylan Jackson, again, local guy from, out of Zachary. Was one of the top safeties in the country, 4-star in the on-3 composite. He was a top 15 player in the state of Louisiana. Again, as we kind of said with Shelton Sampson earlier in the show, it's a bummer when you lose those local guys who were highly recruited, but it was a tough path to get on the field. It's the second safety for LSU that entered. Jordan Allen, obviously, earlier has entered the transfer portal. Tough to get on the field. Allen also dealt with some injuries and things of that nature. But what I will say is something that Brian Kelly consistently said throughout the season when he was asked about playing younger safeties or making a change at the position, he would kind of say, when we have a guy we feel has won that spot, can get on the field, is better than what we have out there, we'll put him out there. So that's also very telling that you weren't able to get on the field, even with the struggles that LSU had in safety. They weren't able to, the coaches didn't feel like they could trust you enough. And again, it's the head coach's words saying that. So with 2 out the door, what do you look like at safety? Well, Sage Ryan and Jordan Gilbert both have eligibility left. They both have a year left and could come back. They also both have decisions to make. And if we're being honest, LSU safety play was a struggle all season long. They had moments, like Sage Ryan had moments where he was really good. Jordan Gilbert had moments where he flashed. But as a whole, your safety play was not up to par. How many different conversations did we have about the safety? Brandon Taylor must have joined Matt a handful of times this season from camp through the regular season talking about what's going on at safety. So for me, while you have Ryan, Gilbert, they have another year of eligibility, they can come back. You have Deshaun Spears, who flashed at times this season. I would have really loved to have seen more of him than anybody else when it came to the young safeties. You have him. He's a highly rated guy. Could he take that next step and be a starter for you at safety? Sure. That's absolutely a possibility, man. They were high on Joel Rogers. He is going to, ultimately redshirted this year. Like, you have bodies. What you lack is consistency at the position and experience depth. So for me, safety has to be a spot that LSU addresses again in this transfer portal window. It just has to be. Like, if you have a guy in mind that you say he is a no doubt day one starter, you bring him on campus, that he can go in and change your secondary, you do whatever it takes to go get him. Because you have to be better at safety in 25 than you were at 24. I don't really think it's arguable. I think it was your weakest spot on defense this year if you're LSU. And you have to address that. You have to fix that going forward because you did take strides in other places. It's funny. You look at this linebacker, you're good there. And you could get even better. We'll wait and see what Harold Perkins has to decide and what decision he makes. But, man, they are so high on Jaden Breaker and Charles Ross coming in. And, oh, by the way, you'll have the Weeks brothers backs and a third Weeks brother coming in as well. Keelan Moses coming in from this class. Like, you did work on the linebacker class here in 25. Devon Keys, Xavier Atkins, you saw them get playing. Like, you're good. You're set there. Defensive tackle was looked at such a big, need for LSU, but you're getting Jacoby and Guillory back. Man, you saw Gabe Relaford be able to slide inside, play a little bit there. You saw great things from Dominic McKinley as the year went on. Ahmed Bro. And now you bring in guys like Zion Williams, Buddy Mathis. Just go down the list. Bo Davis did work in the class. You feel real good there. If I had to pick one more area on defense that LSU needs to go address in the transfer portal, it's edge rusher. Savion Jones, Braden Swinson, out of eligibility, they're gone. And they were awesome for you this season. Deshaun Womack has hit the portal. You bring in Damian Shanklin, but that's the only edge rusher that LSU signed in this class. You have Kalaj Cobbins, who they're really high on, but again, a lot of inexperience there. Can he really step up and be day one starter with his first experience? I don't, maybe. There's also C.J. Jackson, who was a 4-star coming out of the state of Georgia. He was a top 30 player in Georgia's time. But imagine there's a red shirt there. The point is, you need a body and a good one. If Harold Perkins comes back, can you use him off the edge? Sure. Absolutely. We've seen that. It works. But that's still a question mark. LSU needs to go get a proven edge rusher in the portal as well, because you're losing plenty with Swinson, Savion Jones leaving, and Womack hitting the portal. But then you switch to the offensive side for me, really. And it deals a lot with pass catchers that I go, you have to get somebody. We'll get to quarterback, and yes, LSU needs to add a quarterback, but your most pressing need as of now, because Garrett Nussmeier hasn't made his decision, is wide receiver and tight end. With Mason Taylor entering the NFL draft earlier today, that leaves you really with Kamorian Pimpton and Trey Green. And if we're being honest, both those guys have profiled more to a receiver early in their time at LSU. LSU moved Trey Green to receiver this season, and the same thing goes for Pimpton, and you really saw him have his best game so far in an LSU uniform against Oklahoma in the regular season finale. So you have a big hole at tight end. You bring in J.D. LaFleur in the class, that's awesome, but you need to go out and get somebody because you need that complete tight end that Mason Taylor provided for you. The guy who was awesome in the passing game, but could also get his hands dirty and block. It's why Mason Taylor is looked at as the third best tight end in this draft and is going to be an early pick probably on day 2. The complete player that he is. So you obviously need to replace that going forward. And I don't think really the replacements on the team. You've had a lot of turnover there. Mac Markway left, right? You no longer have Connor Gilbreth. That's why the Markway thing was so big last season. You got to have something hit for you there in the portal. I think tight end is a pretty big need for LSU. Maybe you find something in the second half of the signing period before the traditional signing day, but your best option there, transfer portal for tight end. Wide receiver, we went through this earlier. Obviously, Taylor was a huge pass catcher for you. He's gone. But C.J. Daniels, portal. Shelton Sampson, portal. Kyron Lacey, eligibility, out. Aaron Anderson returning is huge. But what do you have after that? And the answer is just not much. At least not much that's proven. LSU has to go out and get a big-time playmaker in the wide receiver transfer portal, specifically a true number 1. That is what you're after. Because while Garrett Nussmeier threw for a bunch of yards and had a great season and LSU's passing game was plenty productive, they did all of that without a true number 1 wide receiver. You had a lot of duplicates of the same guy. Kyron Lacey and C.J. Daniels were the same guy. Aaron Anderson and Xavier Thomas were the same guy. You looked all year for the guy who could take the top off the defense. You need to add that. Unless Chris Hilton decides to return and can finally put it all together and stay on the field, you need to take the top off guy. Kyle Parker will be coming off of injury, but there's still a lot of unknown there. You need a true number 1. You need a playmaker. You have to go address wide receiver. The other two that I have written are kind of, you don't know what you need there yet, and it's quarterback and offensive line. And I'd throw running back kind of in that mix a little bit too, because there are some decisions. Like you could lose Caleb Jackson. You don't know what's happening with Trey Holly. You'll have 2 freshmen behind Caden Durham. Would you like a little bit more experience? Probably. Although Harlem Berry and JT Lindsey are going to be really, really good players next year for LSU. Quarterback, it's going to decide on Nuss's decision. What do you need in the portal? Is it starter? Is it depth? But yeah, you got to go out a quarterback somewhere if you're LSU after losing Bryce Underwood. And offensive line, you feel really good about what you've brought in, but if you can get a veteran to come in and start immediately for you, yeah, I think you absolutely do that. You just don't necessarily know what you're looking for. I don't think particularly there. So the 4 I would tell you that you must go get are tight end, wide receiver, edge, and safety off the top. And then, of course, you're looking for quarterback. You're looking for other guys to complement your team and make you better. We'll see what they do. They've said they're going to be aggressive. The time for talking, kind of over with that. Now it's time for action. The portal opens on Monday, December the 9th. All right, we're going to grab a break here. We're a little late. We'll come back on the other side. Mike Triplett, NewOrleans.football. We'll talk some Who Dat next here on AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com, Rouse's. Y'all, Rouse's is, God, such a great place for all of your Christmas parties, your holiday parties, your office parties. If you're having a get-together, let Rouse's Catering help. Every time we go do remotes at Rouse's, they're so awesome. The caterers will come out with these trays of like the boudin or the the catfish, or the little, what do you call the little fried the boudin balls? That's what they are, little fried boudin balls. Oh, my goodness. The mini muffalettas, the chicken fettuccine. I'm telling you, if you need to feed your whole family, extended family for a holiday party, your office, let Rouse's help you with catering. It's so easy. Go to rouses.com, rouses.com. You can go to the Rouse's app or walk into any of the Rouse's location. It's Rouse's, the official supermarket of the Saints.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, shawbillstire.com. 18 locations in South Louisiana. Find the location nearest you at shawbillstire.com. Bumper-to-bumper auto service and name brand tires at wholesale prices. They will always find a way to get you the best possible price for the best possible tires on the road. That's what they do at Shawbills. And when they get you in by selling you the best tires, the cheapest price possible, they're going to treat you like family, and they're going to treat you so good you're going to keep coming back year after year after year every time you need anything for your vehicle. Tires rotated, oil changed, check engine light on, brakes squeaking, whatever's wrong with your vehicle, bring it to Shawbills. Let them give it the once-over. And you can always schedule online, so it's convenient. ShawBillsTire.com. Find the location nearest you at ShawBillsTire.com. Shop tires online at ShawBillsTire.com. Be sure to ask about the Shawbills credit card as well, because you can save $50 off your first purchase when you use the Shawbills credit card only at Shawbills.
Mike!
Yeah?
New Orleans Saints coverage with some Mad Libs mixed in.
Why don't you just go by Mike?
It's time to talk black and gold with Mike Triplett of New Orleans Football. Presented by Benny's Car Wash. Family owned and operated since 1951.
All right. The Saints, they head up to Meadowlands. They'll face the New York Giants. Because it's on the schedule, and they kind of have to. I guess really the intrigue isn't mainly around the games anymore with the New Orleans Saints. It's around big picture. But we're going to talk about both here with Mike Triplett of New Orleans Football. You can get him on Twitter at Mike Triplett. Joins us every Thursday here on AFR and with us again. Mike, we appreciate the time. As always, how are you?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Absolutely. Thanks for making the time, as always. I'm kind of going back and forth if I want to start big picture or the game. I think I'm going to lean with the big picture. And obviously, the report from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN about Mickey Loomis likely remaining the Saints GM shouldn't come as a big surprise. I mean, I think everyone knows Mickey's connection with the organization and things of that nature. What I'm more interested in from you is kind of a take on, look, there's a lot of people that wanted change there. And again, the door's not obviously closed, but likely to remain. What does that kind of say about the future and the direction of the Saints franchise?
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how they approach things. And even if he's a part of it, when I had a chance to sit down with him after they fired Dennis Allen, I asked if he would consider, his role changing so maybe they could bring in an executive or a coach who wanted to work with his own GM or a coach who wanted to have his own GM powers. I mean, that could include Bill Belichick or Mike Vrabel, or that could include trying to copy what's going on in Detroit with Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes coming in together. Does he take more of an ownership executive role and let a young GM kind of be groomed under him and pass the torch for the future? Does he completely retire? All those things are possible when you consider his age and how long he's been here, and that this is a good opportunity to bring talent in not only as a coach, but as a whole structure for a team that needs change and needs rebuilding. So he said everything is on the table and everything would be considered. I don't think he's planning to retire. I don't think he's going to be fired, but I am curious to see if the overall structure could change for the long-term future of the team.
Do you think one of those scenarios in the change of the structure, I mean, you just went through a lot of, do you think one of them might be more likely than the other?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think the most likely scenario is still he remains the GM and hires a coach that reports to him. That is the most likely scenario. I mean, the day that Dennis Allen left, I put out my prediction that said, Aaron Glenn would be the front runner for a number of reasons. Obviously, there's familiarity with Aaron Glenn, but also he's coming from a program that's doing things right now and a model that you would like to follow. But would I be shocked if they also brought in a young personnel person and he goes into a president role? I mean, it kind of reminds me of the David Griffin, Trajan Langdon structure that we saw just across the parking lot. I would not be shocked if they considered something like that. Not at all.
It's certainly interesting times. I mean, again, the big picture is what so much of the focus is on, obviously, at this point. But I kind of do want to – this question's kind of in two veins here, Mike, because, I mean – man, you have Dennis Allen fired. Darin Rizzi comes in, lights a fire under the team. They win 2 straight games, go into their bye, and everybody's like, okay, wait a minute, hold on a second. How are we really supposed to feel about this? Now they come off the bye, lose to the Rams in disappointing fashion. How are we supposed to feel about this team now going forward?
Yeah, I just did our members-only podcast that we do each week with Kevin Washington today, and we were kind of talking about, we do a stock watch, like stock up, stock down every week, and technically Darin Rizzi's stock went down from when he was the 2-0 interim coach to the 2-1 interim coach, but I don't think this did severe damage to all the good vibes he brought in, to the reputation, that he developed for himself. If they go and beat the Giants as they're supposed to, and then come back and beat the Commanders at home, and he's 4-1, I mean, that could all still exist. I don't think the team's spirit is broken yet after one loss. So one loss alone didn't completely evaporate all of that. but it probably means they're one loss away from that all evaporating now. He probably had the wiggle room of 1 or 2 total losses. I think he had to go 7-1 or 6-2. 7-1 probably would have gotten him the job, and 6-2 would probably make it about a 50-50 proposition. So he's going to need a signature win. Losing by a touchdown in the final minutes when you got to the red zone against the Rams, there's not a ton of shame in that. They were supposed to lose the game, and it was super close. They're leading at halftime, so that alone is not going to undo all the goodwill he built up. But he's going to have to win when he's not supposed to win at some point. It's going to have to come against Washington or Green Bay. If he just goes out and beats bad teams and loses to good teams and finishes 5-3 as the interim coach, then I think he probably will not be the next head coach.
All right, well, their opportunity to get back on the right track is Sunday against the Giants. Let's touch on that for a little bit here. Start kind of with the practice report today. I saw Cesar Ruiz back at practice. That's obviously good news for the Saints. Was out with the concussion, but obviously I would imagine there's still some protocol that he has to go through. But being on the field's a good thing. What can you? What's the latest you can tell us on Ruiz?
Yeah, I mean, the way Darin Rizzi described it yesterday, he said he had already gotten through a few stages of the concussion protocol early in the week. Getting on the practice field is obviously a big one. You have to then feel good and not have any symptoms, from after practice, and that's the next stage of the protocol. So his clearance wouldn't come quite yet, but this is a valuable step along that process, which hopefully signifies that he won't miss any games if he doesn't have any setbacks. And if he plays and Eric McCoy and Lucas Patrick play, we've seen them out of practice too, it'll be the first time since week 3 that they have their full starting offensive line. That would obviously be huge for this team. And they, lost Taysom Hill, but do still have Alvin Kamara. They're going to get Kendre Miller back. There's a chance that their run game could do really well. And this is a matchup where you want to lean on your run game. You're hoping you're playing with a lead in a game against a team like this. You could take weather out of the equation if you can run the ball. And New York has a lousy run defense. So for a number of reasons, this would be a good week for them to have a fully intact offensive line and rely heavily on the run game.
Week 3, my goodness. Yeah, I mean, I knew it had been a while.
Those are better days.
Yeah, that really puts it all into perspective there, Mike. And yes, you're right. Run game could be huge, especially with no Dexter Lawrence on the other side for the Giants. But you brought up Taysom Hill, and I did want to touch on that. Look, I mean, if there's been one narrative that stood out most with this Saints offense, it's been when Taysom Hill's been out there, they've been really good. When he hasn't, they seem to have fallen off of a cliff. How do they avoid that here down the stretch with no more Taysom for the rest of the year?
I'm not 100% sure it's a direct correlation. I think Eric McCoy's been a direct correlation, and they happen to miss a lot of games together. There have been a couple games where the run game has really been good, dating back to, and it was the game where Taysom Hill came back, dating back to when they went out to LA and played the Chargers, even when they played the Panthers and lost those 2 games. The run game had been pretty good. It was really good in this game, and that was even without Eric McCoy. So I do think it's still possible that they can have a really good run game, but obviously Taysom Hill helps you in so many ways. He manipulates the defenses you're going to see based on how they decide they have to match up against you. Darin Rizzi had a really good point when he said you see a lot more vanilla defenses because they need to remain flexible in case Taysom Hill is a fullback or a tight end or a wide receiver on every given play, or the quarterback. So you see more vanilla defenses when he's out there, and obviously all the shifting and motioning they do with him. He led the team in receiving yards in this last game, even though it was only 37. So no one player can replace all that.
Expectation for Kendre Miller in his in a potential return? What do you think you see from him?
I mean, the thing about him is it has been frustrating how many injuries he's dealt with. Yeah. But every single time he's been healthy and played, he's flashed, and I expect him to flash again in this game, especially knowing that Darin Rizzi is going to give him that clean slate and be intent on giving him every chance to prove himself and kind of wash away all the negatives that have hung over him like a black cloud away, kind of in a very different way, but similar to what we've seen with Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan was down to playing 10 snaps a game, and he got a clean slate. he's made the most of it. I think we're going to see the same type of opportunity with Kendry Miller, and when he gets opportunity, he usually does well with it.
Chatting with Mike Triplett, NewOrleans.football on Twitter, at Mike Triplett. Conversation is always brought to you by Benny's Car Wash. Mike, one more for you, and we'll get you out. Flip sides of the ball a little bit here. The Saints defense, I mean, the rush defense has just been an issue kind of all year for them. It reared its ugly head again in the second half against the Rams. They're facing a Giants offense now this go-around that's going to be quarterbacked by Drew Lock. How does the Saints defense kind of match up with the G-men?
Yeah, hopefully this is a team they can finally stop. I think that's been probably the most disappointing aspect of this entire Saints season. The front seven hasn't dealt with a ton of injuries. The defensive line hasn't dealt with any injuries at all. And they're just getting run through like a knife through butter. It's been really disappointing, frustrating. It was as bad as it's ever been last week. Now the Giants don't look like the kind of team that should be able to do that to you. They don't have a ton of talent at running back. Their superstar running back is in Philadelphia now. And you would hope you're playing with a lead against the Giants and they have to abandon the run. And you would hope you're putting in Drew Lock in positions where he has to win this game. But, you know, if the Giants can run the ball and keep Drew Lock out of 3rd and long and keep the game close, then they take that advantage away. So it's definitely put up or shut up time for the Saints run defense.
Saints and Giants, Sunday up in New York. See if the Saints can get back to their winning ways. They are a 5-point favorite in the game. Mike Triplett, NewOrleans.football, always generous with his time. Mike, we appreciate it for another week, and we'll do it again soon, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Again, that is Mike Triplett. All right, we are going to grab a break here coming up. Still got a little thought on Thursday Night Football. We're going to hit Tigers and the Pros and Otter Locks still to come as well. That's all next here on AFR. Stay here.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Action Industries, Action, INDINC.com for Action Industries Incorporated. Had a great lunch a few weeks back with my buddies over at Action Industries. It was Chuck, Chad, Jordan, Erica. We had a great lunch, actually over at Curbside right there on Government Street. And we talked a ton about turnarounds. The turnaround season is March through October, you know that. But it's so important now that if you know you'll have turnarounds coming, I mean, it's inevitable when you have turnarounds coming around the springtime, that you keep the advanced turnaround group front and center. At Action Industries, the advanced turnaround group, still the same great company that's been around for 42 years at Action Industries, but the advanced turnaround group is a division of Action Industries where they have assembled a core group that has built their career around turnaround execution. It's over at Action Industries.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
For the last 3.5 years, I've told you, do business with someone you know. And that's still the case. It's just we've got a new company. It's Parrish Construction and Roofing. But it's all still the same people. It's me, it's Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley and Joe Morales, all the way down to Christina in our office, who when you call, that's who you talk to, and the same friendly crews that come actually do the work at your home. It's our same team. We just started a new company, Parrish Construction and Roofing. You can give us a shout. We even have the same number, 364-1007, 364-1007, or parrishbuilt.com, parrishbuilt.com. Roof repairs, roof replacements, from the smallest residential repair to the largest commercial roof replacement. We do it all, and we do it friendly with a smile, and we are here, we are local, we are Parrish Construction and Roofing. Do business with someone you know, parrishbuilt.com. That's parrishbuilt.com.
All right, rolling along here, hour 3 of AFR on a Thursday. Musso in for Moscona. Scone out today and tomorrow, so you got me here the rest of the week. He is back on Monday, and there will be plenty to talk about as the transfer portal opens. And I mean, it's going to kick off a whole nother busy season for LSU. We'll also know LSU's bowl destination by Monday. So there's just going to be a lot to do when Matt is back. But we will roll on and hold down the fort until that comes. Here in this segment, we'll kick it off. A couple things to get to, but we'll kick it off with Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
And we will begin that with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, don't know if you saw, today named the AFC Offensive Player of the Month for the month of November. The first time he's ever won the award in his career, and what a month it was in November for Joey B. Completed 61% of his throws, over 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 1 interception. The 12 touchdowns is a Bengals franchise record for a 3-game span. How good is that? He led the league with the 345 yards per game and had the most touchdown throws. The Bengals went 1-2 in those games because their defense stinks. But congratulations to Joey B. Yesterday, we told you about Jamal Adams signing with the Lions to the practice squad and that it was likely he would be called up. Well, veteran safety Jamal Adams has been called up from the Lions practice squad. Now on the 53, is set to make his debut on Thursday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers. Jamal previously spent time with the Titans this season, appeared in 3 games, logged 4 tackles, was released in mid-October now with the Detroit Lions. NBA action from a night ago. The Brooklyn Nets on the floor. Trendon Watford, 9 points and 3 boards in the game, 21 minutes off the bench for Watford. And then Ben Simmons, all of it off the bench, but 21 minutes as well, was perfect from the floor. 3 for 3 for 7 points. Also would add 9 assists and 7 rebounds. So Ben really stuff in the stat sheet there.
No threes, though.
No threes. Call me surprised, Beck. No threes. Not even an attempt. Come on, Ben. One more note on the Nets. No Cam Thomas again. He's dealing with a hamstring injury. Spoke for the first time on the record since injuring his hamstring, and said that there's no timetable because he's still in the early stages of his rehab process. We'll keep you updated there on Cam Thomas. And we'll wrap it up. Naz Reid, who should have stayed. 21 minutes off the bench. Tougher night for him on the scoring end. Only the 4 points, but did grab 4 boards. The 2 blocks. A cool plus 15 for Naz in a big Timberwolves win over the Clippers. There you have it. That is Tigers in the Pros. This is AFR, and we are brought to you by Optimize Solutions.
We're brought to you by Optimize. Go to generatorpeople.com, generatorpeople.com. You want a Generac automatic home standby generator? Let me rephrase. Of course you do. So why should you go with Optimize? 2 reasons. Number 1, the affordability. They have financing options to fit any budget, and you get your upfront quote price, meaning whatever they quote you on site. It's not like they're going to come back later and there's going to be fees and install fees and techs. And no. Whatever that number is that they quote you, boom, that's it. Turnkey installation. When they're done, it is ready to roll if the power goes out. Number 2, that's all they do at Optimize. They're not an electrical business that does 10 different things. They do one thing. They sell, service, and install Generac automatic home standby generators. They got 4 locations across the 10-12 corridor. So it doesn't matter if you're in Lake Charles, Slidell, or any point in between. They are Louisiana's #1 Generac dealer. Optimize. Go to generatorpeople.com. Easy website, generatorpeople.com.
All right, get you a brief thought on Thursday Night Football here momentarily, but remind you, Jimmy Ott coming up next for Otter Locks. Otter Locks are posted already up at louisianasports.net. He's got a play on Thursday Night Football and 1 college basketball play for the Otter. You can get those at louisianasports.net or hang around. Otter will be with us to close out the show. Thursday Night Football, brief thought there. There's a lot on the line in this game tonight. I mean, massive. We've had some really good ones on Thursday Night Football so far. This could be one of the best. At least, you look at it on paper, and it might be 9-3 Packers, 11-1 Detroit Lions. We talked about it in What to Watch a little bit earlier. Detroit trying to hold on to the #1 seed in the NFC. They're battling the Eagles. They're ahead of Philly by 1 game, but they've got the tough one against the Packers, while the Eagles face the Panthers, host the Panthers, as a matter of fact, on Sunday. Golden opportunity for the Lions. You want to keep pace. You want to give yourself a chance to really extend your lead. Potentially, this is one that you have to get in the NFC. It also on the line, I should say, is the chance for an extension of the franchise record winning streak, that going to 11. So there's plenty on the line for Detroit in this game. For Green Bay, I mean, look, you're trying to obviously climb back up into the division here, and you got a ways to go. You're still behind Minnesota there, but knocking off the first place team is a huge feather in your cap and is a great start to potentially climbing back into the game. When you look at the injury report, man, it's pretty favorable, honestly, for both teams. No Romeo Doubs for Green Bay. That is obviously significant. He's out. No Jair Alexander at quarterback. That's significant as well. He's out. But the Lions, they make their hay running the football with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. So buckle in, man. This should be one heck of a game tonight between the Lions and the Packers. It's a 3-point spread right now is what we're showing in favor of the homestanding Detroit Lions, one that they really, really need to get to keep pace. You know what? I hope they do. I am unapologetically rooting for the Lions this year to win the Super Bowl. I love Dan Campbell. Love Aaron Glenn. A lot of Saints connections there. And, man, if you can't just relate to the tortured fan base that is the Detroit Lions and want to see them get over the hump, I'll tell you exactly what I'm rooting for actually this year. I'm rooting for a Lions-Bills Super Bowl. That way, just one of the tortured fan bases can finally get over the hump and claim the first Lombardi trophy. So I think that'd be awesome, and it wouldn't include the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm definitely all for that as well. Detroit, Green Bay tonight from Ford Field. up there in the Motor City. We'll get a pick from Otter on that game when we come back. Otter Locks to wrap up Thursday's AFR.
After further review.
We're brought to you by Clegg's Nursery. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Siegen near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Tell you every single day to buy local, shop local. And y'all, they got Christmas trees. Poinsettias, all of your Christmas decor. My goodness gracious, what else in the world might you possibly want? Oh, how about gift cards? That's right. If you got a green thumb on your list, remember, y'all, it's already December the 4th. Like, Christmas is 3 weeks from today. Christmas is 3 weeks from today. Thanksgiving was much later. So your shopping days, you don't have many of them left. Get by Clegg's Nursery. Grab your Christmas trees, your pre-lit trees, your poinsettias, all of your Christmas decor, and Clegg's gift cards for the green thumb on your list. Let them choose what they're looking for over at Clegg's Nursery. Any of the 4 locations, been serving the greater Baton Rouge area for more than 60 years. Buy local, shop local at Clegg's Nursery.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold Refreshment. Dave's back on. Coors Light. Choose chill.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined we...
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. You know, when we talk about Relief Windows every day, I always say windows, doors, siding. And now, shutters as well. They do your indoor shutters. Same thing as the windows. Custom made, measured to fit your windows, custom fit for your windows, lifetime warranty on your windows, your shutters. But Brandon, you often hear say their number one product is customer satisfaction. And that's not just a catchy line. That's not a cliche phrase. Have an experience with relief windows and you'll understand. They go to the ends of the earth to make sure their customers are thrilled with the work they do. As a matter of fact, Relief Windows never takes $1 from you. You will not, no deposit, no down payment. They take all the risk. They will not take $1 until you're thrilled with the work they do. Who else does that? Only Relief Windows. Check them out online at reliefwindows.com.
All right, wrapping up a Thursday edition here of AFR. The only way we know how. It's time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
So we welcome in the Ott father himself, Jimmy Ott. 1-3 night last night in hoops, but Otter, we've been too hot to let that stop us. How are you?
Yeah, man. Moose had some close ones last night. Now I tell Matt all the time, you shop around, and there was 4.5 available before the UConn Baylor game. So, look, we just ask that our sponsors, whether it's Bet Rivers, DraftKings, whoever it is, we just ask that you include them. But nobody's going to get hurt if you shop line. So. That was a winner if you happen to get it. But if you just play with one sports book, that's what you're going to get. And especially in college basketball, where we buy half points starting in January, is very important. So, but yeah, some tough ones. And the one we won was on a last-minute shot as well. So Louisiana Tech with a putback slam at the buzzer to cover that one as well. So we already put out on the website the Penn State Nittany Lions off to an 11-9 early lead over Purdue. Same angle here. Purdue has been involved in one of these holiday tournaments. They're actually down in La Jolla in San Diego, about 10 minutes from Del Mar. So they came back and beat Ole Miss. Ole Miss had them won. How about Ole Miss last night on the road? Yes, the SEC 14-2, and the average score, including the losses, by 12.6 points a game. It's been a rout for the ACC. Long-time college basketball analyst and a writer from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, and he goes to the Maui Classic every year. He can't ever remember one of these ACC Big Ten challenge, whichever challenges dominated, like the SEC dominated the ACC. But we've got Penn State tonight going against Purdue in a favorable spot. Penn State's a good, solid team. Purdue, of course, following up their runners-up run last year with Zach Edey, who's now in the pros, and actually third choice to win NBA Rookie of the Year. But got Penn State in that one, minus the 1.5. We're not buying points just yet, Moose, until we get to January when they felt close last night, but we're going to wait till these lines get a little bit tighter in January when we start buying a half a point on 6-point spread or less.
Okay.
Football tonight, Randy McKay.
Otter, real quick. I'm showing Penn State minus 3.5. Any value there right now live?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Thursday night football.
Thursday night football, Detroit and Green Bay, and many of you saw the comeback by the Chicago Bears. The Lions had 275 yards of offense before the Bears had a first down. They should have been up more, but they weren't. And so now you got the Packers coming in, and this is a revenge spot. Jordan Love was a last-minute decision. He did play, but didn't play effectively in the first game at Lambeau. And now they go to Detroit, where Detroit is just banged up. We know about Hutchinson, who's out for the year, but now they've got about twice as many as the next post on the injured reserve now. Randy McKay, our strongest guy, he's going with Green Bay plus the 3.5 tonight. We're going to follow him as well. So Green Bay plus the 3.5 tonight in Thursday night football.
Green Bay plus 3.5. Penn State was given out earlier on the website. That's why you should always go to LouisianaSports.net and get your Otter locks. They're up early as well. Otter gave them out minus 1.5. Otter, Ruffino's tomorrow?
Yeah, Ruffino's tomorrow. And look, keep in mind, too, we put out the early picks on the website, but we also times we'll come back on the radio and we'll have further picks for you. Tonight, we're just sticking with the original two that we put on the website. 1 minute remaining.
All righty, that is Jimmy Ott. Of course, Ott Father. You can listen to him and Handy tomorrow or go by and see him at Ruffino's Live at lunch. You can watch him on YouTube now as well. Otter, we appreciate it. Thank you, and we'll do it again.
Good luck, Moose.
Good luck to you. All right, that's just about going to do it here for a Thursday edition of AFR. Great show today, man. Thank you to Darin Tietgen for Fantasy Blitz, Lee Sterling with his best bets, Mike Triplett, as always, talking Saints with us on a Thursday. A lot of ground covered. We'll have plenty more for you tomorrow. Thank you to Beck. Thank you to Paul O'Neill as well. Of course, you can always find everything on demand if you miss it. After Further Review on Demand, brought to you by Breck Golf. You can find it on YouTube, the AFR LSU or AFR Saints channel. You can also find that podcast now, AFR LSU, AFR Saints, wherever you get your podcasts. That is going to wrap it up for us. We'll be back here on Friday with another edition of AFR.
After Further Review.
Brought to you by Evermore, all natural, great tasting water. When you uncap a bottle of Evermore, that's the first time the product touches air. It's incredible. It's a natural well. It's natural artesian water. It's a well. It's on the North Shore. I went to their bottling facility. When you pull up on the left, you'll see the well is right there. They've drilled deep into the earth. They pipe it out right into their filters and their filtration system. Nothing is added. Nothing is extracted. It is completely pure from the earth water. So if you want a healthier option, if you want a healthier lifestyle, something healthier for your children, maybe you're an athlete that wants a superior form of hydration, Evermore, EVAMOR. If you notice, go to their website, you'll see Dak Prescott is one of their chief spokespeople. I mean, starting NFL quarterback is vouching for it. Check it out at great local retailers or order on their website at EVAMOR.com, Evermore.com, Evermore.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram can get you in a new 2025 Ram 1500 truck with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off the newly designed Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend